It's us. It was always us. January 29, 2025. I am at Joel Pearl or thejoelpearl.com. I'm Blue Sky. The transmission is us. I'm sorry. I did it. I ruined it. NXT, I'm sorry. We had to let them know it's us. We are the ones taking over. Washington, we won't be there. Instead, we'll be right here at our desks doing our jobs remotely, as you should. It's in the weeds. It's Wednesday. Test patterns are great, and I'm here too. Jeremy Lambert is here, and I'm sure he's having a good time. You didn't expect that because I did not tell you that I was going to do that. So the look on your face behind the scenes was great. How you doing?
I was even looking off screen because I'm on another screen typically when the intro starts. So I hear the intro coming on or finishing, and then all I hear is the beeping in my headphones. I was like, oh, I know. I knew what it was. I knew immediately what the test pattern was up there. Good job with the ITW transmission there. This has got to lead to Thea Hale returning, right? Like Thea Hale's new gimmick. She's behind all the NXT production.
She's the new director for NXT.
Yeah.
She's working in the truck. She plopped down $10,000 to get a tour of the truck one time, and now she knows everything. She should be the one. That's it.
That's the only payoff that I will accept is if this is Thea Hale. If it's not Thea Hale, I do not care. I do not care who this leads to, and if it's not the young goat Thea Hale.
I saw this at the end. This was the second time where WWE in 1 week got me in some way. We'll talk about Raw because that was also a very funny moment with the final segment that turned out to be like one of the hottest parts of the show, and how some people, I don't know, missed it completely because of the way they scheduled their breaks in between. We'll talk about that in a minute. But like last night, I'm watching this, and the first thing I see is, WWE transmission, or the last thing I see. I'm like, oh, okay, that's it. And somebody screwed up, hit the wrong button. It's like if you watch on Triller on AEW, it says like end of AEW broadcast, and it just says that, or no signal from venue. I was like, okay, that's probably someone screwed up. It happens. And then all of a sudden they did the thing, and I was like, oh, it's a bit. Okay, fine. And I'm like, well, it's our bit now.
I didn't think it was a screw up. Like when I saw it, I was just like, oh, what's this leading to? And then we saw what it was leading to. Just like Netflix, people, I guess you were also one of them, but people were like, oh, that's how they're gonna end the show. I got my coworkers like, oh, I'll do this. Like that ending was not what I expected. Like, what are you talking about ending? They didn't flash the executive producer nonsense. So
they don't do that on Raw though. They don't do the executive producers on Raw. They only do it on NXT and USA. And I don't think they even did it on NXT last night. I don't remember, but they don't do it on Raw.
Regardless, I didn't think that was the ending though. It was weird. Like I will agree. Like the way they went to break was a little strange, and I guess it confused people. It didn't confuse me, but built different.
I just thought Raw was like, 2 hours and 15 minutes. And I was like, okay, not too bad. Got in, got out. The show was largely fine. It was a go home show to the Rumble. So I was like, okay, you're going to see Cody's going to do something. And then I thought, okay, they'll just do a Cody dark segment for the crowd because they had advertised Cody to at least show up. And he did show up. Like he had a backstage little thing with Sammy, and they did the haluva kick and he did the save. And I was like, okay, they're playing it up 2 weeks in a row. Sami Zayn kicked someone in the face and Drew McIntyre got out of the way. So we're planting the seeds of like, did he or didn't he, even though it's an accident. That alone, I was just like, okay, that's it. That's the seed. And then the rest happened. And yes, I had gone to bed and I was like, oh, there was more. Okay.
Wow. You went to bed?
Yeah, I go to bed at like
fake 10:30. Fan Joel Pearl going to bed.
We don't need to talk about how I take SmackDown in now that it's 3 hours. 10 o'clock comes around, and whatever's on at 10 o'clock, that was the main event. And I'm like, great main event. Don't know why they ended with this person getting in the ring at 10 o'clock, but hey, it's not my show. Good night, everyone. And then I pick up the last hour when I wake up.
Even if they didn't do the executive producer thing, which again, I do think they definitely did it for the Raw debut. They 100% did it.
Well, of course they did. Everyone needs to know who made the show. Yeah.
But they didn't have the Cryon graphic. They definitely do the Cryon graphic. By the way, I can confirm, I went back and watched just to prove you wrong. They did do the executive producers.
Okay, fine. They weren't doing it on USA. They were doing it on Raw on USA. They were doing it for SmackDown and they were doing it for NXT on when they were before their new deals came in. I guess CW counts, but yeah, they were not doing Raw on USA with the executive producers. So now they're doing it on Netflix. That's cool. Sure. I hadn't seen it. I hadn't been paying attention to that. So I just figured, okay, Haluva kick. That was the end of the show. Everyone's happy. You know, Cody's selling. No, what's going to happen at the Royal Rumble? Oh my God. And that was that. But no, it was more than that.
You guys got to learn how to watch Raw.
No, you don't. Because here's the wonderful.
They're changing the way you view television, Joel. WWE is changing the way the world views television. That should be their new slogan.
That sounds like an awful slogan because television can be consumed in many different ways, including
but WWE's changing it.
Yeah, including skipping the third hour and coming back to it later.
WWE's changing it, brother.
Remember when you used to know the third hour of Nitro started by all the pyro going off in the middle of a match? Who cares about this match with the cruiserweights? Pyro and the Nitro girls.
That ruled. That's a great slogan, by the way. I'm going to pitch this to WWE. If they're going to hear this, they're going to be, you know what? This is actually, that makes a whole lot of sense. You know, they'd eat that shit up. They would kill. They would love that slogan.
Tony hasn't taken us up on our offer to do a standing weekly segment called In Tony's Weeds. So we can just invite Nick Khan and we can just call it In Khan's Weeds and someone's going to take us up on it and it's fine. But Tony hasn't answered us, as just needs to be someone. And yeah, then you can do your pitch job to WWE instead.
Look, if Tony wants to use it, he can use it too. I feel like that's good for AEW. It's better than Where the Best Wrestle. Well, changing the way you view television. Come on, guys. Get it together. I'm selling this.
Revolutionizing your TV.
Oh, there you go. Oh, they love the word revolution. Revolutionizing the way you watch television. Okay.
Let's revolutionize this show by leaving a thumbs up on the video, shall you? Get the pyro going, because it's the third hour of WCW Monday Nitro live on TNT. There it is. The Nitro girls are out. Everyone's dancing. Everyone's having a good time. So go ahead, leave a thumbs up on the video. And of course, subscribe to us here at Fightful Overbooked. 25K in 2025. That's what we're aiming for. So it's a lofty goal. It's a hefty goal, but damn it, we're going to do it. We're going to do it by having a guest today. We're going to have from MLW, Filthy Tom Lawlor. He's also from a billion other places you've seen him. But today, he's going to represent MLW. He's going to join us at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, talking about MLW Superfight 6. That's coming up the next Saturday. It's going to be from Atlanta's Center Stage, which seems to be where everyone is running their wrestling shows this past month and a half. So that's fun. And of course, you can donate a super chat. Any amount, get your question or statement right on the air. And the ITW Rumble is still open if you want to get in on it early. Jeremy, you want to tell them about it and what's it all about?
If you'd like to enter the ITW Rumble, leave us a super chat. Any amount. 99 cents. That's all. 99 cents or more. If you want to donate more, we appreciate that. Leave us a super chat. Use the hashtag ITW Rumble. You get entered into basically our Royal Rumble pool. There will be free entries at the end of Friday's show. So if you want to wait until the end of Friday and hope you get a spot, you're more than welcome to wait. But I think there's only 14 spots left. So we got 16 people in on Monday's show. We'll see if we can't fill those 14 spots with super chats in the next couple of days. But if not, then again, there will be a free entry for at the end of Friday's show. All you got to do, leave the super chat, use the hashtag ITW Rumble. You get entered. We will draw numbers at the end of Friday's show. Whatever your number is, you get that for both the men's and the women's Royal Rumble. If your number wins, then we'll get you something off of AEW shop, WWE shop, independent wrestling, whatever shop you want to get within reason. We're not buying people $300 championship title belts. We ain't got that kind of money here at In the Weeds. But we got money for, a nice shirt. If you'd like, you want a coffee mug, something like that. Now, with a $40 limit or so is what we're kind of setting that.
Maybe you want to get something from Shop TNA or the MLW shop.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Or from, I don't know, your favorite independent wrestlers shop that they have.
I did mention that. Independent wrestling.
We did. Do that. Yeah. That's right. Matthew Hooks, yes, you can absolutely do that.
You get $40 worth. Sure.
Yeah. I don't know how much that'll get you, but I'm not a connoisseur of that kind of thing. So anyway, yes, Kim's asking if we can post the numbers in case someone misses the show. Yes, we will put them up on socials so that anyone who is involved or who needs to see them, they will be able to find them through social media. How about that?
Yeah, we can do that. I'll post the list Friday after the show, and then obviously we'll know who wins on Monday's show. Monday is a main channel Monday. We'll know who wins on Monday's show, and we will be in contact, or you guys can contact us after Monday's show, and we'll figure it all out. Or you can do like somebody did last year. I forgot who won. I apologize, but you can do like somebody who won last year. They said, just donate to a charity, and we donated to NAMI. So if you want to send money that way instead of buying something off of WWE, AEW, TNA, MLW, GCW, whatever shop, we can donate the money to charity as well.
Does GCW have a shop?
I don't know. I don't think so. I was just trying to name companies.
They've put out their own gear before.
Yeah.
I remember before Hammerstein a few years ago, they did the ECW merch, and I really wanted it, but then they sold out of it like that. One day, not today though. Ryan Lambert's going to buy us all CM Punk replica titles though. That's what the message says. That's what it says. Don't worry about what it actually says. Buy some eggs from Effie. That got some people talking. Good match though. Go check that out. That was GCW. They were in London. They did the match with Karen Noir. It's a good match. Got a lot of people in their feels.
I think a lot of people didn't come across great in that discourse, but
as is tradition.
Yeah.
Speaking of tradition, the tradition continues. WWE heading to Paris, France, August 31st at Paris La Défense Arena. They're going to be presenting Clash in Paris, and Raw's going to be presented live the next night at the same arena. Looking forward to that. It's not going to be Clash at the Castle because, Jeremy, guess what? Paris has 0 castles from which to broadcast their event. So instead, you get a Clash in Paris. Who will be clashing? And will there be baguettes is my first question.
Why can't they do like Clash at the Tower?
What tower? Oh,
Eiffel Tower.
I guess.
What do you mean, what tower?
I don't know. The Eiffel Clash? I don't know.
Why is it gotta be like Clash or anything? Just call it WWE Paris.
The tussle at the tower.
Tussle at the Tower. Okay.
Remember the tussle in Texas?
No.
It was Mark Henry versus Titus O'Neil.
Really?
Yeah, it was an episode of Raw in Texas.
Oh, it was a Raw episode. Okay.
Of course it was. It may have even been SmackDown, but it wasn't important. That's all.
Clash at the Croissant. There you go.
Oh, that's perfect. Clash at the Croissant. Is it a chocolate croissant?
Why do you say it like that?
It's a croissant. I speak French.
Croissant?
Croissant? Croissant?
Why are you saying it like a Q?
No, it.
Quoi?
René Dupré should make a return. You should have René Dupré make a return. Make his return.
Remember when Batista shoved the flag up their ass?
You remember his theme? Just look at me.
Oh, yeah, that ruled. They'd kill for a good theme like that nowadays.
That's true. It's pronounced croissant.
Croissant?
It's croissant.
I just say croissant. I'm sure that's very American of me, I assume, but whatever.
The Battle of the Baguette would be fantastic.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. That's all I need. Oh, by the way, we have an ITW Rumble entry from, if you want to call him X3 or you can call him 13 or them, because I'm not going to gender this person, and saying, I need Jacob Fatu beating Gunther at WrestleMania. My goodness. How would we get there? Would Gunther have to, Jacob would have to win the Elimination Chamber.
Jacob could win the Rumble.
That's true. He could. I don't think he will. I think he should win. Remember, we did the Bloodline Elimination Chamber. Jacob Fatu wins.
Oh yeah, you did book that, and you couldn't count to 6.
That's fine. Most wrestlers can't either, so I'm just on par.
They don't need to count to 6. They only need to count to 3.
Well, no. In some cases, they need 10. In Japan, 20. So it counts.
They don't need to worry about that.
Would you do Fatu versus Gunther for the world title? How do you think that would go over?
I think it'd be fine. I mean, Jacob Fatu's kind of over right now, so you could easily build him in 2 months, 3 months for a world title shot. Easily. He's already pretty hot right now. I don't think that's the direction they're going to go or anything, but they could easily make that happen.
I think it'd be a fun not for a title Saturday night's main event featured attraction match right now. If you do it like right now, those two I think would do really well in a position where they beat the shit out of each other and everyone's into that. You put it for a title later on if both men are like in those positions. I know Gunther has the World Heavyweight Championship now, but like let's face it, they didn't really make him the number one title last night, or on Monday night, I should say. They certainly put Cody as the quarterback in every sense of the word. And by the way, once again, Joel was right. Cody did not saunter out there with his world title. The world title that he held is above the ring as it was on Saturday night, and then carried across state lines to the Atlanta State Farm Arena, where it was probably hung up by another person who.
No, they drove it there on
this
crane. Yeah.
They lowered it from the top of the roof down into the building. Did you know that the State Farm Arena has a retractable roof? Well, you do now, or they should probably fix the hole. But yes, Cody did come down with that. But Gunther is not currently the guy. You could make him that way, but right now, if you do something like Fatu and Gunther, it'd be fun. But I'd see it more as like as a special attraction.
I think they got to be careful with what they do with Jacob Fatu going into WrestleMania. Careful in the sense that you need to put him in a prominent position, but I don't think they want to go full bore with him just yet. That might be a post-Mania thing, is they start really heating up Jacob even more and possibly getting him in the world title picture. So that's why I say careful. Like, you can't make him nothing for WrestleMania. You can't do like let's just team with Solo and Tama and do a 6-man against Sammy and the Usos. Like that ain't doing a whole lot. So it feels like you got to give him something worthwhile, but I don't know how much of a worthwhile spot they want to give him. Maybe they think this Bloodline 6-man would be enough. I don't think that's the direction they're going. I'm just throwing stuff out there. Like I don't know what the plan is. People are saying Jacob and Solo. Like that's possible. I think that's a good spot, assuming Jacob wins. But I don't think they're going to be that quick to just like tear apart that side of the Bloodline. I'm
of two mindsets. There's the jokey part of me that's like, he's gonna win the armbar. You have him next to the big Andre the Giant trophy, and then he smashes it like everyone does now. That's the jokey joke. I don't think they should do that because they don't do anything with that. They've proven that time and again. Then again, Jay won it, so it means something to the Bloodline. No, it doesn't. The other side of it is a multi-person US championship match. If it's a ladder match, if it's some car crash match and Jacob just destroys the field, I could see that being his moment, having that US title and, starting from there. Because yes, I understand that people are saying like world title level. Absolutely. People are excited about him. People love him, but like you can always start, you can build up the US championship because hasn't really had much going on since LA Knight won the thing. And then what happened there, it kind of didn't go anywhere from there.
Who's the US champion, Joel? Do you know?
Shinsuke Nakamura.
Took you a second, but good job. You got that.
Well, my point was that with LA Knight, they had LA Knight beat Logan Paul, and that was a thing. And then after that, it kind of just went down the tubes, and then Shinsuke won. I would like Fatu and anyone in the US title scene just to build him up further. I don't think you need to rush Jacob Fatu to a world title match immediately. I think there is merit in strike while the iron's hot, but like this iron is currently heating up. So it could be a US title run that gets him even further ahead with most of the fans. See how he really owns the field.
I've convinced myself we're getting some type of Bloodline 6-man tag.
It's entirely possible, and it'll be Bloodline rules, and everyone will go ham, and that'll be that.
That's where I'm at. That's my expectation. Bloodline 6-man tag. We'll see if that's where they go, but that's where my expectation is right now. Setting the bar low, folks.
That's fine. Again, that's why it's like Fatu in the armbar could just be as easy as that. Like Sean's mentioning, Bronson Reed got a number one contendership match after winning the armbar. Great. That is something that happened. You could make use of that. It just comes down to what the trajectory is for Jacob Fatu. We know it's up, but we don't know at what incline. They could be trying to take it a little slow. They could be ramping him right into the main picture for just past WrestleMania, and that'll be that. But we'll see. He's got a lot of opportunities ahead of him, and currently, like, he's delivering on just about every spectrum available.
They got to find a balance of slow burning some stuff and striking while stuff is hot, because sometimes it doesn't feel like they find the greatest balance on that. They try to slow burn so much, and it's led to, like, we had Drew and Sammy again on Raw. It's like, all right, can you guys not do a different match here? Like, why are we doing this match again? Well, on SmackDown, we had Nia and Candice against Naomi and Bianca. It's like, okay, is there nothing else we can do? Again, Rhea and Nia, they just did that at Saturday Night's Main Event. And it's, like, I know that it'd been less than a year because they did that at Elimination Chamber last year. Feels like they gotta find a balance of, all right, this is hot, we gotta go with this. And okay, some stuff we can afford to slow burn.
Two things. One, someone in the chat saying Elimination Chamber, LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu. Yeah, you could do that as something. I don't see Fatu actually being in the Elimination Chamber, because if he's not winning, then someone's going to pin him, or he's got to do the disqualification route. And I think that's a little too messy just to keep him, undefeated. I'd rather him stay on the straight and narrow of undefeated and not just taking little points out. They did the disqualification finish at Saturday Night's Main Event, but he was also firmly in control. So it just put him over more as a danger, not as a he's just getting out of it. So I don't know if you can do that again at a Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. And then the other thing is, someone actually mentioned Omos versus Fatu. And, like, if you're going to line up big men, take up Jacob Fatu, Omos is a pretty good shout. And he is presumably heading back stateside for at least Rumble season. Gave up that Noah Tag Team Championship, the GHC Tag Team Championship. So it feels like he's coming back. You could do something.
Doesn't mean he's going to be used.
No, it doesn't. But I mean, if he's coming back stateside, you can at least assume there might be some overtures to have him be used. And if you do, that's one way to do it. Fatu versus Omos is a pretty, standard big man match. Fatu beats Omos eventually, and it's a moment. We're built on moments, Jeremy Lambert. It's not WrestleMania, but it's a moment.
Sure. I don't have any confidence that they're going to, like, use Omos. Like, they sent him to Noah. It felt like that was a Noah call of, hey, let's put the tag team titles on him. Those would be cool. But they knew they only had him for these dates, and then they just had to, strip him. They didn't even strip him of the titles. Like, he gave the title
off to Daga.
Yeah, and then they were like, well, they're vacated now. We don't recognize this. It's like, oh, okay. So what are we doing here? And then he's just going to come back to the States, which is always the plan. And I don't have confidence that he's going to be. Maybe he gets a Rumble appearance and gets tossed out of, like, hey, look, we still have Omos. But maybe they will. Maybe they'll capitalize on what he has done in Japan. I like almost a Mellow pairing. That's not a bad shout, Zeno Hour. I could see that. But yeah, I don't. Until Omos is on television and, like, used weekly, I got no reason to believe they see him as a weekly performer, because thus far, that's all we know is he's not seen as a weekly television performer.
It's really funny because I'm thinking back to Shelton Benjamin doing the conversation with Chris Jericho, and he talks about his time in Japan. And Shelton's like, I was walking around the middle of nowhere in the farm country of Japan, some big black dude walking around, and all of a sudden these people are all staring at me. And that's kind of what I see with Noah when they see Omos. They're just like, okay, we have this big black dude walking around the streets of Japan. Let's put a tag title on him. Let's make him a thing. And they did. They had him go around and take over their socials and, like, film in the, in the shops and things like that. They took advantage of what they had. But him coming back stateside, it's questionable. Like, what are they going to do with him? They could do nothing, or they could use him as a big man attraction for a couple matches. And then who knows what happens after that. Though the Mellow partnership is intriguing. I do admit that as well. J.K.
Yeah,
Schwal, by the way, putting his name in for the ITW Rumble, and you can too. Any amounts. That's the hashtag you need, and you can join the Rumble. I think is this 20?
No, we're at 18.
Okay, so we have 12 spots left, if my math is correct.
Appreciate you, Jake. Hope you're doing well. I like Mello and Omos as like Mello just being a dude who talks a bunch of shit, and then Omos just steps in and just smacks people around. I do like that partnership. Again, I don't know if they have any plans for Omos. I don't, until I see him weekly, I'm gonna assume they got no plans for him.
That's fair. What else do you want to talk about? There's plenty that happened on Raw. A lot of people putting their names in the hat for the Rumble. But really, the big news coming out of it was Paul Heyman coming out and revealing the 2K25 banner. Roman Reigns, he's in the back corner, is Paul Heyman. That's the 2K25 cover athlete. That's the cover arts. But really, it was Drew McIntyre coming out and kind of getting in Paul's face a bit, to the point where even Paul Heyman backs off a bit. And he's like almost scared, almost like, you're in my face, please leave. What'd you make of this? I mean, Drew and Roman is certainly a match that has been talked about, not necessarily at WrestleMania, but on the road. And is this starting to plant the seeds for that match, or is this just Drew being the character that is a little prick to everybody?
I think it's one of the latter. I think at some point they'll want to do Drew and Roman again, because it's there. It's pretty fresh. You know, it's been a while since that first Clash at the Castle in 2022. That far ago, right?
Yeah,
it's 2022. Yeah.
It was. Yeah.
So it's been a while since they've met, and there's obviously new fresh angles that they can go with that. That's a big time match. But this just felt like, well, Drew's in the Rumble, Roman's in the Rumble. Who makes sense to kind of cut off Heyman in this segment? And that would be that.
To me, it felt like they're trying to get there. They're trying to do it, maybe even on one of those Raws when they're abroad in the UK. Roman, I believe, is at least promoted for some of them. And also it's, heading down to WrestleMania. So I don't know if maybe they'll do something on one of those Raws just to get a big crowd if they have a big venue to fill. Or you could do it at Elimination Chamber. Someone had mentioned that. However, if neither man is winning the Rumble, both men should want to be in the Elimination Chamber. Do they do qualifiers? But Roman shouldn't have to qualify because he's Roman Reigns. I don't know. I don't know how it works to get to a match if it's going to be at Elimination Chamber, because both of those men, if they don't win the Rumble, they should be wanting to get into the world title picture. And the only way to do that is to do the Elimination Chamber. So I don't know how it would work if they tried to do it. You just have Paul Heyman cash in the favor.
There's a lot of ways they could go with this. I don't think they're doing Roman and Drew anytime soon. And then the Punk stuff. I mean, I guess we can get into kind of Punk and Cody. So were you more sold that Punk's gonna win the Rumble after this?
I don't know if I was more sold or if I'm seeing this as a red herring. I think this year, more than other years, WWE has done a good job of making you feel like the people who matter are A, in a position to win the Rumble, and B, are actually putting it out there more that they're going to win the Rumble. Jey Uso is a good example of this. Nobody seems to think that Jey Uso can win the Rumble, and that's okay. He's probably not going to win the Royal Rumble. However, he's going to come out there, get the rub from some celebrity, which is hilarious every time, and he's going to make his he's going to make his plea. He's going to get out there and he's going to say something, and like some people are going to be like, yeah, that's my dude. I want him to win the Rumble. He gets that. And then you get guys like CM Punk where you're just like, oh, he's got to win. This was a little bit closer, but it may have just been a little heavy-handed, because we've talked for the last few weeks, like Punk being the guy to win the Rumble makes sense, but now he's talking way too heavy to have actually won the Royal Rumble if he does. So I'm still of the belief that what Fightful Select had reported doing Roman and Punk, and then Cena and Cody, I don't feel like those have changed. Anything could change. Like, it really could, but I feel like Punk gets maybe tossed out by Roman, or vice versa, and that kind of starts a jealousy angle. Drew making reference to CM Punk as being the Paul Heyman guy, not Roman Reigns, like that's another piece of the puzzle that comes into play. That's where it's like felt like they're planting the seeds for Roman or for Punk and Cody eventually, but we're not 134 days away from WrestleMania. And if Cody walks out of WrestleMania with the championship, get to 434 or whatever around that time is, and then maybe you can do Punk and Cody, because that'll be like on the day I lost, I'm going to win it back. Like numerically speaking, you could do something like that. I don't know if they want to look that closely at numbers, but they made a big deal out of this being the 300th day of Cody's title reign. So I don't think Punk's going to win the Rumble. I just think he's getting more and more heavy-handed with it to make you think that way.
How are we getting the title on Roman or Punk? Because that's a title match. They're not doing that match and not having a title on the line. So how are we getting the title on Roman or Punk? One of them beats Gunther at Elimination Chamber?
I think the opportunity for Punk to beat Gunther is there, and maybe that's the favor that gets called in. That he wants the world title match against Gunther at Elimination Chamber, which sucks for me because I've been beating the Goldberg versus Gunther drum at Elimination Chamber since this all started. But also I understand it. Like for Goldberg, he probably wants it to be in one of two places, WrestleMania or Saudi Arabia. Other than that, we could, financially speaking, of course. So I can see them doing Punk versus Gunther. Punk wins that world title, and we're off to the races for Roman again. Roman would then have to win the Chamber. Yeah. Which means Cena would have to win the Rumble. And I still don't love that. I'd like the other way around. I'd prefer Cena win the Chamber, Roman win the Rumble. Maybe that's how they do it. Maybe Roman does eliminate Punk last. Roman wins the Rumble finally. People are finally cheering for Roman to have won a Royal Rumble. And Cena comes back to win the Elimination Chamber and he gets Cody. Could be as easy as that. And it could be that Roman wins the Rumble and says, Cody, I'm coming after you. And Punk gets in the way and just like, you son of a bitch, I'm going to beat your ass. And how are you going to do that? Well, I'm going to win the world championship. It sounds convoluted, but there might be a way to get there through a little bit of hatred, a little bit of jealousy, a little bit of storytelling, where you can get to Roman and Punk and Cena and Cody without spoiling the importance of either title.
Ryan says, I have a feeling that Roman wins the Rumble, but Punk used the favor to get it to a triple threat match. They've done a few times with Bryan, Shawn, and Charlotte. So Roman wins, goes after Cody, and then Punk used his favor to get into the triple threat match. They had done the triple threat match, a number of times, and they go to that well like once every 10 years. So I guess this would be the time to go to the well. It is like once every 10 years.
They just did it at the year after COVID Mania. They did it.
With Edge, Bryan, and
and that was what was that? That was 37.
37.
So at that point, we're only 5 years.
They did it at 35 too, because that was the Charlotte year. Was 35.
Oh yeah, that's right. Sorry, I was thinking that was COVID Mania. You're right. Yeah, you're right. That was we need Charlotte Flair, and everyone was like, "The fuck is this?"
It's still been a few years. It's 41 this year.
It's been 6 years.
No.
You can't. Personally, I hate triple threat matches, especially world title WrestleMania triple threat matches, unless they make sense, which very rarely do they. I would argue that the last time they made sense of it was the women's triple threat at 35, and even that was Charlotte being shoehorned in, and then they were forced to make it work, and the only way they made it work was that whole police angle where they did the backlot brawl, and Charlotte kicked the door into Ronda's face, and like it was a whole they had to make a big schmoz out of it, because leading into it was literally Vince coming out and saying, "Here comes Charlotte," and that was it. Everyone was like, that sucked. That was like Rock coming out last year or Cody coming out and giving the title to the match to The Rock. It was the same feeling. Like, what are we doing? I don't like triple threat matches. I don't think that Punk using the favor as a babyface to shoehorn himself into a triple threat match is good storytelling either. There's got to be a better way for that favor to be used. And to me, it's getting the world championship match at the Elimination Chamber after he loses the Royal Rumble as from the number 2 spot, whatever. Like, he doesn't win it. He's one of the last 3-4 men in the ring.
He's still using the favor to get a world title match.
But using the favor to get that one-on-one match that maybe he's earned by I don't know how versus shoehorning into a triple threat. It's almost like if it's WrestleMania and you're putting yourself in the match, you're putting yourself in the position because of a favor. You're putting yourself in the position to get to the biggest title match because you want the main event. That's a heel move. It's also technically a heel move.
Punk's a heel.
Maybe Punk is a heel. Maybe, but the way that they told it last night was Punk kind of being a little, again, shades of gray with Punk. Everything is shades of gray with Punk. It's a babyface move to do it against, well, first of all, against a heel like Gunther. There's got to be a better way to do it. That's basically what I'm getting at. I feel like the triple threat shoehorning in, that's not going to look good on Punk from a storyline perspective. But getting into Gunther, I feel like they'll find a way to make it work. It'll be a little clunky, but they could do it.
All right, now let's talk about what's really should happen here. Two things. One, Punk's favor is he's going to ask Heyman for $3,000 because he spent way too much on shoe shopping. He's like, Paul, I spent $2,500 on these Jordan Mids UNC colorways. I need $2,500. Can you help me out, please? That's the favor that he is called in here. Two, Roman wins the Rumble. And then you know what happens, Joel? If you smell, and then The Rock, he goes 1, he goes 2, he goes 3, he does the throat slash, and then we never hear from it again. We're like, what the fuck just happened with The Rock here?
So heard there was a sellout venue, brother.
That's what should happen. That's how I'm closing the Rumble. Roman wins, The Rock appears, he does his bullshit, and then who knows if they follow up on it.
He doesn't even do the bull. He comes out and he raises Roman's hands and they're booing again. And he's like, why are you booing my cousin? And they're like, we're booing you this time, you stupid son of a... And then it turns into absolutely nothing. They just leave. I like this idea, mostly because I like to think that earlier in the day, Dwayne came up and he was just like, all right, so what do you got for me for Mania? And they're just like, nothing. We've already planned out Mania. You said you weren't going to do it. And he's like, oh, plans change, pal. What do you got? And they're like, well, no, we don't. We just stuff already. We just, it's okay, guys. It's cool. I'm going to go talk to Paul and we'll see you later tonight. Okay. All right. Good talk. Pats him on the butt, goes away. And later that night, the 1, the 2, the 3, and then that's it.
They come out and they do, remember at Austin and Rock, and they did the beer thing and they smash the cans. They were very passive aggressive at how they smash the cans. They got their red Solo cups with the mana in it because you can't do it with glass because that'll break, and you don't
want the
glass all over the ring. So you just got the red Solo cups and they smash them back and forth, and then they're throwing shots of mana back on WWE Raw. That's how we're building this thing, brother.
And then he
just
gets
looks.
And then Rock gets in his
mana and vibes. That's it.
Then he gets in his pickup truck and he drives home. Oh, Amber, by the way, entering the ITW Rumble. Have a great day, guys. Have a great day to you, Amber. You're joining the field. You're in. And Tenruza saying, didn't pick SNL's Bowen Yang as a New Japan fan in 2025. Everyone's seen this photo by now. TVSI has not taken it down yet. But yes, SNL's Bowen Yang wearing a New Japan line mark sweater. People like that. Do you think he knows? Do you think he actually knows that it's a wrestling thing, or did he just like the logo because it looks cool?
Two things. One, Anthony Bowens just invited him to Dynamite to be, or I guess AEW, to be his new tag team partner. Bowens Yang. I respect that by Anthony Bowens. Cute. Two, yeah, he 100% knows. He was at Wrestle Kingdom this year.
But was he though?
What do you mean was he?
There? Was he there, or did he send someone else? Did he send someone with a mask of his face on? Was it a deep fake?
Stop it.
What? Sometimes we need to ask these questions, Jeremy. Everyone's all about new age journalism. So here I am giving you new age questions to stupid questions.
Stop it. Nah, he was there. He knows all about that. Yeah, he's a New Japan fan. Respect.
Tenry's also sending a super chat. One that you should read, Jeremy.
Je espérais la résistance à retour pour le Clash de Paris.
Oh, God, that was painful.
What do you mean? That was perfect.
J'espérais la résistance retourner pour le Clash de Paris.
Nah.
You need to put the D apostrophe, but you know.
I feel like I did it better.
Google Translate did a pretty good job of that one. Thank you, Tinnerza. Yeah, la résistance coming back. Let's do it. I just want Renee Dupree. So you just look at me. I'm everything you see. Just that.
Yeah, Bowen Yang marks for evil. He's at all the SNL. He's like, you know what would make this skit even better? EVIL. We need evil in this skit.
That's how you know you're an actual New Japan fan. You like House of Torture.
Hell yeah! Who doesn't love House of Torture?
That's how it works. Oh man. So the Rumble is looking good. And I think that there are more questions than answers going into this year, which I truly appreciate. It makes me want to watch the show more. It's not like, so and so just randomly showed up and they're definitely going to win. This is the first year in a while where I'm actually looking and being like, oh, there's actually room for a lot of different people to potentially win. The fact that you have 2 world championships, that could be big news. That's another sign that you're going the right way. Looking forward to that. Yeah, Louis got it, by the way, about Bowen Yang. Doesn't have a favorite match from 89 All Japan.
You know who should win the Rumble?
Who? Oba Femi?
Oh, that would rule, actually.
Get him out of his Vengeance Day match. That's for damn sure.
That would rule. Thea Hill. That would also rule. They should have Kai Cenat or I Show Speed win this thing.
That whole thing with Kai Cenat being like, I'm coming after I Show Speed. First of all, I'm just like, did not know they had beef. Good to know.
They don't.
They have streamer beef. They've got streamer beef, which is really just like too, not out of shape, because like when people hear out of shape, they think like overweight and whatever. Instead, it's just someone who's not in the best shape. I just think of streamers doing that. This is just like doing when I think of out of shape, I don't think of like fat, overweight streamer.
I Show Speed's like super athletic, dude.
Yeah, they all say they are, but
what do you mean they all say they are? He is. There's like video of him.
But like, yeah, sure. And the Paul brothers are having legitimate boxing matches, sure. But then they just do this, and that's kind of the fight that you would get between Kai Cenat and I Show Speed.
Like, I don't know if they're like great fighters or anything. I feel like I Show Speed's done some boxing. Maybe I'm wrong. Like, yeah, it's whatever. It's celebrity boxing. But like, dude, he's really athletic. Like, he's fast. He can jump high. And Bargot mentioned he jumped over a speeding Lamborghini. Like, he's a great athlete. Like, I don't know how that translates. It's a wrestling sports, but like, he's a hell of an athlete. What are you
someone was letting me know that we're streaming in 720 again. Someone keeps setting the stream to 720 instead of 1080, and that's really bugging me.
No, I don't know who's doing that. It's not me.
Appreciate having people let me know when people mess around with the StreamYard settings when they shouldn't. It's because when people have shitty internet, it just kind of so it was Kate is basically what I've learned. It's probably Kate last night turned down to 720.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, they were the last people on, so.
Yeah, exactly. Tenriz is saying, "Oui, je parle français. It has helped me on my travels and study in France. So much, so fun. I need my London fix soon in Paris, Forbidden Door and Clash. Go, buddy. If you can and you have the means and you can make it work, do it. I mean, Forbidden Door is a different show and a different presentation. The Clash shows, I mean, we saw what happened when Backlash, they did it in Paris. That was a hot show. They had a lot of fun. It would probably be the same expectation this time. So if you have the means and you want to do it, go and enjoy. I would love to have that opportunity.
Yeah, hey, go for it, Tenruza. Like I said, both shows would be a lot of fun.
And then hope that Thea Hale is actually wrestling on the show that you're going to go see.
Oh yeah.
She's going to be in a Forbidden Door match. Thea Hale, Mercedes Moné.
I'm going to message Kai Cenat and I Show Speed and be like, hey, when you're at the Rumble, can you ask Paul where the hell Thea Hale is? What are we doing here?
Okay, so yeah, the thing with Kai Cenat and I Show Speed, everyone's like, oh, first of all, the whole like you can stream wherever in the building. I'm like,
yeah,
no, he's not gonna do that. Like, they're gonna have a room for him or at least a space for him. Be like, you go here, you go here. Like,
that's lame.
Well, welcome to WWE. When it's controlled, it's lame. Listen, when I talk about Elimination Chamber 2023 when they had us in Montreal, and they were like, okay, so the venue doesn't really like have this or that, so we're gonna parade you around into areas that you're not supposed to see. So just pretend you didn't see this. And it's us walking around like the backstage sets and us like seeing all the wrestlers getting ready and like doing photo shoots and all the shit. And it's like, you're not normally, we don't parade the press down this aisle, but we have no choice because the venue has it this way. And that's basically what I'm expecting from iShowSpeed. He won't have that problem. He'll be able to stream in these legitimate areas, but not like these. He'll be in catering and other silly spots. But then they'll do a thing where him and Kai Cenat have a thing and they knock each other out and the stream goes dead, and or he'll come out in the Rumble, he'll have a spot for some reason, which I hope doesn't happen, and then they'll do a spot live on Twitch, because it's just 2 spots that could have gone to someone who's worthwhile. I don't know though, because I don't know who's worth being in the Rumble this year outside of the people who have said they would be.
I don't know if they're gonna do 2 spots for him. Maybe Kai Cenat's in the Rumble. Well, we'll see. I don't know about iShowSpeed. Maybe he's in the Rumble. Maybe he just accompanies Logan. And maybe it'd be a great bit is if Randy's music hit and here comes old iShowSpeed and he starts barking. he's still in the Prime Bottle gear. And then Randy comes out and like RKOs him, and that's Randy coming back. He kicks him again. He doesn't have to RKO him. He doesn't need to take that bump on the Grace is on the same bit that I'm in here. But yeah, Randy's music hits. Here comes iShowSpeed. He comes out, and then Randy comes out afterwards, just like knocks him down, and then does his saunter to the ring. Randy with his light jog that he likes to do to the ring.
That's perfect. That's what I need. I just need more callbacks to things that people don't remember. You'd have to show us the videos first so that we can get up to speed from something that happened 2 years ago.
They will. Like they'll show that stuff. Like, they love showing video packages.
That's true. They'll have Pat with the Patistrator just do a whole like 20 minutes like, and then this idiot did this and then you get all the stuff on the screen, and it'll just be obnoxious. It'll be great.
Are people really mad about like the iShowSpeed and Kai Cenat stuff?
I don't think mad is the word. I think people are just like, oh, if they're gonna do this, is this like potentially taking away from 2 other wrestlers who deserve the opportunity to actually like be a part of the show, who are not going to be part of the show. And I kind of bounce back with like, they've had a lot of stars already announce that they're in the Rumble, from people who are typically on the show, like who's going to be on. But I don't know how many surprises to necessarily expect this year. Like 1 or 2, and that being one of them, sure, that would be fine. I think 1 spot is fine. If you start doing it 2 to bring in both guys, like the crossover is already there with one of them. I don't know if you're going to get that many more by bringing in both dudes in the Rumble. Like the spot is for one person, in my opinion.
They do that 1 spot every year. Pat McAfee did the spot last year. Like, what's the difference between Pat McAfee doing the spot last year and let's say iShowSpeed does the spot this year?
I mean, Pat's already probably going to be in the Rumble because they're in Indianapolis. Like it's almost inevitable.
True. Yeah,
so
that's true.
He'll get in, take off his pants, and be like, "I'm gonna do it again!" And then everyone's just like, "What are you gonna do? Get your ass kicked?" It'll be a 3-second turn, throw him over top rope, and he'll be like, "Well, didn't win. Back to the match."
I didn't know who iShowSpeed was last year when he showed up at WrestleMania. No idea who this person was. Just like I didn't know the Costco guys until 6 months ago, and now they're my favorite wrestlers of all time. Like I don't know who these people are because it's not for me when they do this kind of stuff. But I learn a little bit about them, and like they seem fine for the most part, and if they bring more attention, good. I've always said, I know people got mad at like, oh, why they keep showing celebrities in the crowd? Why are they always showing celebrities? Like they got to stop it. No, they should show more.
Jeremy, I don't know if you've been living under a rock, but WWE is hot right now.
They should show more. I've always said this. I said this about AEW ages ago, and I'll say this about any wrestling company. If you have a celebrity that's there, show them. Put them front and center. Be like, hey, here's so-and-so joining us. Even if you think it's a B-list celebrity or it's just the offensive line of the local sport, whatever, like show that they are there because it makes your company seem like it's a big deal. It's like they could be anywhere in the world. 2 Chainz could be fucking his girl on the nightstand, have a one-night stand on the nightstand. You didn't know that, did you? 2 Chainz could be doing that. And instead, he's at WWE Raw. It's cool. It makes it seem cool. Like, yeah, I think AEW should do the same shit if they have celebrities attend.
I largely agree with you. That's why I made the joke. Like when they go to Toronto, who the hell's going to be in front row? It's going to be like
Scotty Barnes, baby.
it's going to be
Raptors play.
No, it's going to be like Brent Butt, Cardinal Official, Chauclair, and the Bare Naked Ladies.
Oh, are you naming like
Canadians
artists?
who still live in Toronto and Chauclair?
Are the Raptors in town? Let's look at the Raptors schedule.
I think we did this before because we needed to find out if the Scotiabank Arena was free for Monday. I don't
think we did this. We did. Is Tyrese Halliburton going to be in the
No. We did this when we were trying to find out if they. Oh no, maybe this was with a friend of mine, trying to figure out where Raw would be.
When's the Elimination Chamber? March 1st.
March 1st.
Okay. The Raptors are on a road trip. They're in Chicago on Friday and Orlando on Sunday. So I can't imagine they're flying back to Toronto for just that one day. So yeah, they're on a road trip. What about the Maple Leafs? Here's perennial losers: John Tavares, Mitchell Marner, Austin Matthews, and William Nylander. Look at these dorks who can't get out of the second round.
So they did the Osto 316 shirts for Money in the Bank, and those were really cool, cute. Shirt. But like, other than that, yeah, they don't have. There's no one who lives in Toronto that they're gonna have sitting front row, and that's. I keep racking my brain. I'm like, who's gonna? Nobody lives here, and everyone who lives here is like 90 stars. People are like, what about Drake? I'm like, they ain't touching that shit. They'll sooner put the Weekend out there.
They will.
Oh, no. They'll put the Weekend out there because the Weekend has done like 50 billion themes for WWE. They won't touch Drake. They'll touch Drake.
Are you kidding me?
I think they'll sooner put Abel out there than they will.
Sure. But you're telling me if Drake says, hey, guys.
If Drake says, hey, sure, they'll probably do it. Yeah. But my point is, like, they'll probably go by Weekend first.
I'm sure they'll invite the Weekend before they try to invite Drake because he does every WrestleMania theme in existence. But if Drake says, hey, can I come to the show? They ain't going to be like, well, I don't know about this, Mr. Aubrey. I don't know if we should let you here. There's kind of some heat on you right now.
He might
there's a lot of children at this show, Aubrey. So you got to make sure Baca's not around. He's got a weird case.
There's also there's a possibility that he's got a PR guy being like, maybe don't show up because you'll get booed. Like a lot of Kendrick fans out there.
They'll cheer Drake in Toronto.
You might be surprised. There are a lot of people in Toronto who are not. They don't give a shit.
They'll cheer Drake in Toronto. By the way, the Maple Leafs are also on a road trip. They're in New York on Friday and in Pittsburgh on Sunday. So again, can't imagine they're going to go back to Toronto for one night. So don't expect any Maple Leafs or Raptors in the front row.
Oh, I wouldn't expect or want that for anybody. I saw something this morning. There we go. 13 years ago, watching the NHL All-Star game, I guess they were in Toronto. And I tweeted out, the only thing I'm happy about when it comes to not being at the All-Star game in person is changing the channel when Drake came on. Turns out I've been hating on Drake for well over 13 years at this point.
They would cheer Drake in Toronto if he showed up at Elimination Chamber.
If he's in the match, he gets the shit kicked out of him, sure.
He's not going to be in the match. He get cheered in Toronto.
I don't know. I really don't know about that. I don't know.
I think you really underestimate how much people dislike Drake based off of the beef, because you've been on the Kendrick side of things. There's a whole other side of things.
Oh no, I've seen people talking to themselves into it. Yeah, that's true.
All right. Yeah, there's still a lot of Drake fans. Why don't you walk outside, Joel? You live in Toronto. Just walk outside right now. Let's do some on-the-ground reporting and just start going up to random people. Hey, what do you think of Drake?
I'd actually laugh to see what that looks like. Who?
Hey, you would definitely get who.
My neighborhood, I might get a lot of who's.
I would keep my family away from that man. I was told to keep the family away from him.
Yes, I do. There are a lot of kids living in this area, and I'd probably do the same. 10 Rizza sends a super chat before we get sued. They're not popular enough for this shit. Heading to a pub watch party for Royal Rumble on Sunday at 9:30 a.m. Oh my God, going to be a bit of a day. Big screens and cheap pints. Maybe mana. It's going to be 36 degrees Celsius. That's wonderful. That's hot. That's a good time. Enjoy it.
Enjoy the mana.
Enjoy the mana. It's just like when Canada was in the the gold medal game, and it was like 6 a.m, and wherever they were, I forget what year it was, Where were the Olympics in 2010? The Winter Olympics in 2010.
2010?
Yeah, was that Vancouver? So that doesn't work.
Yeah. I think that they beat USA in the final.
I can't remember that. Yeah, was it?
Sidney Crosby scored the game-winning goal.
Yeah, no, that was that. No, then it wasn't then. It was later on then.
I don't know. The NHL hasn't been in the Olympics for the past few years.
So it could have been 2014 when they were in Sochi.
I don't think the NHL was part of that.
No, they were. Well, regardless, Canada was in the finals and they won. They played Sweden. That was the year. So they were playing at like 6 a.m.
2014?
Yeah, 2014. Ice hockey at the 2014 Winter Olympics men tournament.
Okay, all right.
Anyway, Canada won that year, and I just remember waking up super early and going to the bar to watch the game with some friends. Back when I drank. Tenry's also sent a super chat. Kate Odden says, "Scissor.
I'm just gonna let you go with this.
Scissor. Halftime show slap. DJ Head, please. Scissor.
Are you okay?
I haven't been okay in years, Jeremy. You know this. Been a long time since I've been okay. Oh my gosh, where are we? Color bars?
Yeah, Joel. Next time you're on the train, just ask people like, "What do you think of Drake?" Just start playing Drake on your phone and just see what kind of reaction you get. That's
I don't like being that guy. I think about Jordynne Grace, and there was this one person who tweeted out something like, she tweeted out like, "Why are you listening to music at full blast on the train or on the bus?" And someone was just like, "Because I don't have enough money for headphones." And she legit bought that person headphones off of Amazon and shipped them to them. Like that's
respect.
That's my respect level for Jordynne Grace, and that's what I think of anytime I hear or see someone listening to stuff out loud on the bus or train. I'm just like,
I should do it just to see what the reaction is. What song would you play? What Drake song do you feel comfortable playing in public?
None of them.
Play Marvin's Room. I'm just saying you could do better. Tell me, have you heard that lately?
Never happening. Not happening. No chance.
Filthy Tom Lawlor.
No.
Started from the bottom now, yeah.
No. Filthy Tom Lawlor joins us in a half an hour. Maybe he's gonna weigh in on.
Well, that's Filthy Tom Lawlor. What do you think's of Drake?
This is something that we did. Well, that was what Hernandez was doing in Toronto last year, Money in the Bank, when we were at the heat of this stuff. And you had people answering, "Oh, shout out to Tiffany Stratton for that answer." I mentioned Jordynne Grace, probably mentioned also Fightful Select had reported Jordynne Grace, WWE bound, signed a multi-year deal. Very excited to see her show up with WWE at the time when she gets there. What do you think? NXT bound or main roster bound?
I feel like she's going to be in the Rumble. She's going to be main roster.
You think they'll run some promos for her going into this? I feel like they should.
Nah. You just have it as a surprise. Nah.
Okay.
I don't think you need to do a promo. Just have her show up. It'd be fine.
And you'd keep her on main roster, or would you then move her back to NXT?
Main roster. They got plenty of women in NXT. And Bailey's going to NXT for a match, another title match. So we don't need Jordynne's good enough for main roster. She should be on main roster. They need to freshen up that main roster scene anyway. Like they, especially now with these women's Intercontinental and women's United States title, like you need some fresh blood in there. Jordynne fits that.
Yeah, I mean I largely agree. I think that there is an opportunity for that refresh that you mentioned, and you might also just find some some hot new talent out of this and some good chemistry with some new matches. She is fresh, she is new, she is someone that WWE fans have seen but haven't fully experienced yet. I'm a little sad that I'm not going to be able to cover her work as much as I did with her work in TNA, but it's exciting. It's good stuff. She also confirmed that Jonathan Gresham's TNA deal has ended. It has expired. Where he ends up next is another question that people are starting to ask. We've talked about it here. I mentioned a player coach role if that's something he was interested in, but I don't know. Maybe I don't know what Gresham wants to do, but he's another dude who has many opportunities ahead of him.
Yeah, Jonathan Gresham can go kind of wherever, but he's cooled off so much since the ROH stuff. And like, I love Gresham. I don't think the TNA run really did him a whole lot of favors. Oh, you seem disappointed.
People think that I'm joking, but I'm really not. The deal that they did with him and the octopus stuff was really good. Like, there was a good amount of character in there. They never fleshed it out. They dropped it before it had an opportunity to go anywhere. The Slammiversary match that he was supposed to have with Kushida was supposed to, potentially open up some more stuff to that character, but instead they just killed it dead because he wasn't able to make it to Montreal that weekend. So that changed things. I'm so frustrated that a character opportunity for Gresham has never been given beyond, like, I'm a great technical wrestler, they call me the Octopus. Like, I want more, and he was en route to doing some more. So that's where I'm at with that.
Fair. They didn't do a whole lot with them even before they did the character stuff. Like, what's a standout Jonathan Gresham match in TNA?
Him and Josh Alexander had a banger, which surprised absolutely nobody. And Speedball, which surprised absolutely nobody. Gresham has had some standout matches.
Those were all
Charlie Dempsey had a good one.
That was all in like 2022, wasn't it?
Not that sure. Well, Charlie Dempsey wasn't. That was a 2024 match, but he had a match against Dempsey during the crossover time.
But again, none of this led to anything for Gresham, though.
Oh no, he never got anywhere, and that's the problem. But because they always presented Jonathan Gresham as just like the good wrestler who tries to work honorably, and that didn't work. And then they tried to do the octopus stuff, and that should have worked, but then they pulled it because he didn't cross the border for one show. So they just went back to his old shtick, and then they tried to put him with Young and Macklin, and it was very funny because for anyone who watches watches TNA, when he got brained in that particular match, it was the System versus Macklin, EY, and Gresham got the chair around the neck and taken out, and they were at center stage, which was the tapings when everyone who was leaving, lost on the way out, except for Gresham. He won, and they just kicked his ass instead and broke him. I was like, oh, well, that's a wrap on Jonathan Gresham, I guess. So it didn't surprise me to hear that he was done, but they just didn't do anything with him beyond the one attempt at a character.
Yeah, it was just disappointing because it felt like he had more to give in that run. It felt like they could have done more with him just when they first got him after the ROH departure. It felt like they could have. I know he was involved in some of the X Division stuff for a little while because Bailey was also involved in that. It felt like there should have been more done with Gresham. And I don't know, it's two sides on this, but I think Gresham is fantastic professional wrestler. I don't know what he is looking to do anymore. Maybe he just wants to kind of settle down, coach, and just be happy kind of showing up, doing spots. No idea.
Yeah, it's going to be entirely up to him. A couple of more entries into the ITW Rumble. Our pal Chris's base covers. Go check him out on the internet, on the YouTube, joining us on ITW Rumble. And Troy Palak saying, Goldberg in the Rumble. My God.
All right, we've got 21 spots. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Troy, for joining. So 21 spots have been filled, everybody. I don't know if Goldberg's going to be in the Rumble because he says he's going to do a last match. So I don't know. That's not going to count as his last match. So I doubt we'll see him in the Rumble.
I don't foresee him joining the Rumble field. I think it's more likely he comes in and has his superhero Goldberg moment. And then we do the match and that's it. Speaking of multiple sides, because you would mention that with Gresham, the PCO interview that Sean did. That was something else. That was quite a lot of PCO for 1 hour. He talked about everything that he claims happened or didn't happen with his TNA run. You did the transcriptions for this. You watched this. You saw this interview. There was some interesting stuff. I think the story about him getting a staph infection after fighting in the desert with Edward Edwards was a hell of a story, especially because he claims that he was not medically he's not reimbursed for his medical assistance that was given after the show. That was that was something else. There was a lot going into this. Where do you want to? We won't talk too much about the PCO stuff, but I wanted your take because Sean did come on this show and mention on Monday that he was doing it, and the interview did happen. and you and I have both watched it. So your thoughts on that overall?
Yeah, I watched it live and transcribed it live. It was his side of the story, and he claims that they had something worked out with him and TNA, and then it didn't work out with him and TNA. They had a handshake deal. He's old school, and he says that the handshake is just as good as a word. And well, they didn't see it that way. There was no contract signed, so he said that they didn't call him after the December stuff, and so that's why I took the GCW date, and then they still didn't respond when after he was looking to maybe go to San Antonio for the live show, and they didn't respond, and so that's why he kind of did what he did. He seemed like he had a little bit of he had regret over not leaving earlier and just leaving after Slammiversary in Montreal. That was my big takeaway. Seemed like he wanted to leave after that, and he didn't, and felt like he regretted that a little bit.
Something that really stood out to me, by the way, in that conversation about Montreal that he was having, the idea of where TNA wants to do media and who they want to give access to, and who and what he should or shouldn't do. And in one case in particular, how wrong they were on one call.
Why did this stand out to you, Joel? Huh?
Oh, because I've always had my feelings about how TNA does or doesn't operate from a PR media standpoint.
I thought the same thing. I was cackling when he was talking about this.
Were you thinking about me, Jeremy? Be honest.
I almost messaged you. I was like, you should hear what PCO's saying about this Montreal appearance.
And it's funny because I had kind of heard something similar about that whole like mascot gimmick thing. The clotheslining the mascot story. Basically, for those who haven't seen it, first of all, please go and watch the interview because it is really good. It's honestly a lot of PCO talking it out and like Sean, kind of helping to lead conversation, but not like it's not question after question. It's like PCO giving a lot.
It's like one question.
Yeah, it's like it's basically where should we start? And PCO just kind of goes off on his stuff. But at one point he talks about Montreal and Slammiversary, and the story was that they went to a sporting event where there was a mascot, and PCO was like, I'm going to clothesline the mascot. And whoever was with him from PR and TNA said, no, don't do it. You'll get the wrong kind of heat. And PCO's like, do you know like how beloved I am here? Like, I know my people, they're going to cheer for me. It's going to be great, blah, blah, blah. And the guy's like, no, don't do it. Don't do it. And then he did it anyway. And guess what the crowd did? They cheered for PCO because mascot violence is like the easiest pop you can get in most cases. And that's what happened with PCO. He was right. And the other thing was that they wanted to leverage new media more than they wanted to use like traditional radio. That was part of the conversation that PCO had. And I'm sitting there with my mouth like wide open being like, why wouldn't you want to be on radio in any way? Like the hilariousness of this whole conversation is we are a live media show, but we present almost like we would be radio. We're talking. We're just two talking heads here. People are mostly listening to us like with their phones down because they don't want to look at our ugly faces or whatever. Like we're in a different. We're in your ears. We're not in your eyes. Like it's fine.
How we're in your ears, Water?
But the whole thing here is they still went to the TSN affiliates in Montreal. I know that because people who are wrestling adjacent work at that station, and like they still did stuff. And I want to know like in what world does it make sense to not do radio hits? Here's a good example. Jeff Jarrett for AEW is doing a ton of radio and television hits. You do as much as you can, but also you do have to be strategic. But like PCO said it, like I'm in my car, I'm listening to the radio. People sit in traffic, they're listening to the radio. Like not everyone's just listening to a podcast on their phone or just to some music. Some people are just listening to the radio. Busted Open does well because they're on Sirius XM and they have people who listen to Sirius XM, and as a result, they consume their show. The idea that you don't do radio is that's antiquated, believe it or not, of all the things. It was just such a stupid idea.
I think
By the way, bless Ryan Lambert watching a 60-inch TV with surround sound. I hope my voice sounds good through your subwoofer.
Start singing more pussy songs, and then we'll.
Yep.
The radio thing was weird to me because all those radio shows are podcasts anyway. You know what I mean? Like, they're all on podcast feeds as well. So you're not just doing radio. Like, yeah, it's radio, it's live in that moment, but then like 30 minutes after the show ends, or sometimes it's up within like the hour. Like, you know, if it's like a 3-hour show, they'll put the first hour up after like 30 minutes after the first hour, and then so on and so forth. So that's how I listen. Dan Patrick's show is on radio still. It's also on television now, but they put the podcast feed up like 20 minutes after the hour ends, after the first hour ends. And so it's like, all right, well, now this is how I'm going to listen to it. So yeah, all those radio shows, that's how I find a lot of interviews. I don't listen to K-Fan 97 in Kansas City, just throwing stuff out there. I don't have that radio station. But I search for wrestler interviews, and all of a sudden I see, oh, Will Ospreay is on K-Fan 97 in Kansas City to promote AEW Dynamite. I'll listen to this. I'll listen to this interview so I can get content out of it. All of these radio shows turn into podcasts. So yeah, it's very weird of like, oh, we don't want you to do radio. That's old media. It's like, that's also new media, because these radio shows are not stuck in the 1990s, and it's just like, well, if you miss it live, you've missed it completely. Like, no, if you miss it live, then it's on your podcast platform within half an hour.
If you apply for a job as a radio host nowadays, you're being asked to do more than just talking to a microphone and like play the music. Like, people don't understand that you really do have to put up a ton of social posts, and you have to be ready to work on new media stuff. Like, you need to be out there beyond just being on the radio. Like, you're interacting on camera with an audience as well. You brought up the different radio stations that do interviews live, and like, was it WFAN, whoever kept bringing in wrestlers in New York, and they had Mercedes on, and I remember watching that on Twitch because they were streaming live from the studio while they were still out on terrestrial radio. And like, that exists. A lot of studios have gone to that hybrid format because the ratings are now kind of like multi-platform read. And I don't know. I found it so strange that they would even like say that radio is out, you know, that you don't do radio. It's lazy, but I feel like I've used that term a lot when it comes to these people sometimes.
It's always baffling to me when a wrestler is like, I want to do this media, and the media people are like, I don't know if we should really promote this show, brother. What? They want to do it. They want to go out there and do this media. As long as you are comfortable with them doing that much media and you kind of know the platform, you obviously don't want them going on, well, this platform ain't great. You might be asked about this. We don't know about all that. But like, as long as it's on the up and up, and I assume a local Montreal radio show is probably fine. Like, you should probably get your wrestler out there and doing this kind of stuff.
And it's not even, by the way, like, it's not just local Montreal. Like, this is TSN has a nationwide reach with multiple affiliate stations. Like, this is TSN is like the ESPN equivalent in Canada. They have multiple stations across Canada that cover different markets. They're everywhere. This was one of those stations. Like, it was also part of Virgin Media Radio, another one. They're all across the countries, and they do all these things. Like, how can you not be trying to get in there? How can you be saying that this is not? It's just lazy. It's just lazy. It's people not necessarily wanting to do their job. By the way, when you were talking about the radio hits and stuff, this was something I immediately thought of. JM mentioning, I still remember listening to the Taz show on CBS Sports Radio and podcast form. And I remember listening to the Taz show on podcast form. Play.it. Everyone was on Play.it. Ric Flair was on Play.it. Okay. Yeah. I think that was owned by CBS Sports Radio, and that's why they did it.
Ric Flair's gonna start another podcast, brother.
Yeah, I'm sure he is. He's going to bring out his Diet Coke and woo, and everyone's going to be sure. Anyway, Filthy Tom's supposed to join us in about 12 minutes, so stick around for that. Very excited for that conversation. Talk about MLW Superfight 6 and a plethora of other things. As we kind of start to rewind into that, Tanruza mentioned in the next 2 days, I might commit to Grand Slam. Hopefully tonight's episode of AEW Dynamite, when we preview it, and the show itself, will maybe push you a little further to making that commitment, closer or further, whatever you is. Yeah.
Hopefully they commit to some matches for AEW Grand Slam.
Hopefully. we'll talk about that in the preview. I have questions, but we'll get there. You mentioned Bayley in NXT. That is the thing that happened. She got a win last night in the tag match. Her and Julia beat Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez. Yeah. No, you know why I'm doing my deep sigh.
Oh, you gotta do the emo cry yourself. You gotta go. She beat Cora Jade. So sad. Cora Jade lost. Oh, so sad. And Roxanne Perez.
Yeah. The match was fine. The match was decent. It was good to see. Now they're turning it into a triple threat match for Vengeance Day. It's going to be Roxanne Perez versus Julia versus Bayley. She's going to come out to NXT for that whole match. That wasn't as surprising as the NXT championship match that they announced.
That match is dumb.
Are they going? I don't think they're going to go through with that match. I feel
you don't think so?
I feel like Trick is going to somehow find his own way into this thing, but make it he's going to have to like beat both men and get, I don't know. So basically, for those who don't watch NXT, they announced that Oba Femi is going to put up his NXT World Champion, or not World, it's the NXT Championship against Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, who, by the way, like they had a fun segment doing the Waller effect, and the crowd was really into Austin Theory at this venue because he probably brought all of his friends and family from the Atlanta area and said, please come and cheer for me. I need some help. But they had fun with it and yada, yada. They're doing a triple threat based on that. But also, like, why? Because Trick comes out and he's also part of this whole melee. I don't think it's going to stay as a triple threat. I think the Trick will come out and do something.
It does feel that way because I don't get this triple threat. So, two things. I think you can turn it into a 4-way. I think you could even turn it into a potential tag team match because I don't think this is headlining anyway. I think the women's match is headlining, and it should. Bayley, Julia, Roxanne. That should be the headlining match over Oba, what is right now Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. I think you can turn it into a 4-way, add Trick Williams, or you can turn it into a tag team match with Oba and Trick just kind of beating up Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. And the double triple threat match, like it makes sense for the women's side of things because Roxanne deserves a rematch. Bayley got the pinfall on Tuesday, so you put her in there. Like, all right, that makes some sense. This men's match, like, what? Why are Theory and Waller like? We know the depth on the men's side isn't good, and we talked about it. And when you got Ridge Holland as like your top contender, you're kind of struggling a little bit. And now you just got to throw Austin Theory and Grayson Waller down there. And people know I love Grayson Waller. But if this is what your best plan is for your men's division, we got to bring in some NXT or not some former NXT people, some main roster people who we're not really doing anything with on the main roster. We got to bring them down here to fill this spot. You're lacking the depth because Bayley feels there because one, she probably wants to be there. And two, she feels there to like lift up the division. I don't think the women's division in NXT like necessarily needs Bayley's help because they got enough talent there that they could just do a Julia and Roxanne rematch and probably get away with that. And it'd be a great match. Give it some extra time. It's on a PLE. It'd be great. So that Bayley feels there to elevate things. Theory and Waller feel there to band-aid things because they ain't got nobody else who's ready for that spot against Oba Femi.
I'm thinking, I mean, there was a time when Wes Lee would have been someone that I tossed into that main attraction level, that main.
He's already done stuff with Oba, though.
Well, that's the problem, and they did a really good job with that too. When Wesley was still a babyface, they had the match at Heatwave, where if Wesley lost, he couldn't challenge for the North American Championship at the time, as long as Oba Femi was still the champion. They did a good job with some of that stuff with Wesley. Now, although you could run that back because the dynamics have changed. Wesley is the bad guy and Oba Femi is the good guy. So like inevitably you'll get there. But Wes would have been a guy. They ran at Heath Thorpe. That was kind of a let's see, like a tester. But there aren't that many strong characters other than Ethan Page. But do you want to put Ethan Page right back into the world title match, whereas he's working with Javon Evans and he's working with Cedric Alexander, and there's something going on there that's good for all three men in their own ways. There's no one that really sticks out on the world championship or on the NXT championship level than Trick. And again, it's Trick chasing, and everyone's a big fan of when Trick chases because then he gets the moment, and everyone's a big fan of Trick winning, and then they don't do anything with Trick afterwards. That's always been the problem with NXT and how they've portrayed Trick as a champion. So I just don't know what else you could do right now because you haven't built for right now. And I agree with you largely that it is a band-aid solution, whereas bringing Bayley is an elevated solution. It's bringing more eyes to a very hot women's division that has done wonders for NXT and has always been kind of the backbone of NXT in its own way. They've had ebbs and flows, but like the women's division has been very strong. Now they need to find that in the men's division. Whoever that is, I don't know if there's going to be someone from like the wrestling world that sets them on fire, because again, Ethan Page is one of them. Javon Evans is another one, but they're not in that story yet. But it feels like Javon Evans will be maybe next when they get there.
I don't know how long they're going to wait on Javon Evans, because every time he's in a big match, he typically loses.
Yes.
That big match. And I know that's been a complaint that others have had. Like, I assume he's going to face Ethan at the pay-per-view. I don't know if he's going to beat, or PLE, sorry. I don't know if he's going to beat Ethan at the PLE. Like, Ethan's clearly ready. Oba's obviously great. I think Trick is definitely ready, and he's great as well. But they keep doing, like, they see him more as the chaser than the quarterback. Yes, he's a defensive lineman. He's chasing the quarterback all the time. Football. I know he played wide receiver, but they see him as that guy more than the guy to carry the title. But yeah, after that, like Tony D'Angelo is there. I think there's potential there. I don't know how much.
I don't.
Really? Okay.
Sorry, no. I don't. I think Tony D'Angelo, there's potential there to change the character, learn a few more moves, and then get better. I think one of the benefits and detriments to NXT 2.0 was that the Tony character was both beloved and made fun of at the same time, because they made fun of the character and then they realized, okay, this guy can actually do a few moves and look good, but he's so gimmicky. They need to find a different way to do this, and it's just not working the way that it's worked now.
Yeah, I don't know with Tony D'Angelo if he can be the main event guy. But I do think like there's a good spot for him to be a potential challenger. I don't know if he's the guy to carry the title. I think he's at a good spot right now as the North American champion. I think he can carry that for a while. But to elevate to kind of the main event spot, he's probably, the character's got to take a different direction, or he's just got to drop the character altogether and just become someone different. But I don't know if they see that in him, if they want to put him in that spot. Like, otherwise the men's roster is just guys they ain't put a whole lot into, or guys they just beat. You know, Wesley's a guy they can elevate as a heel. Like, it's a different role for him to get elevated to that spot. But again, they've done the Oba stuff. They're doing the Trick stuff now. And then after that, what do you have for Wesley? He keeps doing the Rascal stuff in TNA, and it feels like he should just be advanced past that.
Well, you're going to get a lot more of it. So
I know.
That's right. You've already seen what's going to happen next in a few weeks.
So that's why, like, it just feels like they're in a holding pattern with Wesley, because they keep just doing the Rascal stuff with TNA. And it's like, can we do something different with him?
Someone had mentioned Josh Alexander as a potential, power up to the men's division. And that's fine. Again, there is opportunity there, but you still have to put some work into the characters you have. They have bodies. They're just not necessarily giving those bodies the opportunities to shine, or if they are, it's not working as well as it could have. I'm curious, because once upon a time there was a story that went around about, not being afraid to cut talent in NXT a little more frequently if they're not working out on, TV, but clearly that's changed, because you're not hearing so much of any cuts, or people, they're just kind of leaving at random times in threes and not as, I'm not going to say like some of these are mass cut NXT. That's not what I'm saying. But, at one point they were talking about that being part of the development process, was if you're not working, then we're going to say goodbye.
I think using Austin Theory and Grayson Waller on NXT isn't necessarily bad either. Even though right now it does feel very much of a Band-Aid thing because they haven't built anybody up. But I don't think it's bad that they have guys that they're not doing really anything on the main roster with, and then they're putting them in kind of advanced spots in NXT. But now you got to continue to work on that undercard. So when Theory and Waller inevitably go back to the main roster, you build guys, like there are guys ready to kind of be in that spot. Because there's a lot of guys on main roster who just don't get a ton of television time on Raw or SmackDown. So going to NXT actually makes some sense. I know it's like, oh, is it developmental? Is it third brand? Like the number, they do good numbers for what is basically it is the third brand, whether you want to call it developmental or the third brand. It's the third brand, however you want to phrase it. But like they get a lot of eyes, they get a lot of attention, and you can boost that stock even further by giving guys like Theory, like Waller, shots on this show that they're not getting elsewhere. And I think it helps the talent that are still there as well, because they will hopefully learn something from Theory or Waller. Look, Otis is honestly a great example.
Yep.
Like I think him in NXT would actually make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I agree. It'd be a big meaty dude going after some again, I can't call it a world title because it's not a world title. Going after NXT gold, it would work. It would be a fun little experiment as well to bring back Otis to NXT and have him have his way, and that would be fun. Speaking of having our way, our guest has arrived. If he's ready, he can give us a thumbs up and we can get on into it. See, this is why I always ask, because I never know until they give me the thumbs up, and that's when I can bring them on and we can do a whole thing. No, okay, and we're not going to, because this is for the first time we've been told to wait, so we're gonna wait. But I do believe that if you bring someone like Otis back down, you can do a lot with it. You can do a lot with a guy who is just bigger than the rest of your roster and also imposing. Do you turn him? Do you give him a different flavor? Like, how do you present Omos? Not Omos, sorry, I read Omos in the chat. How do you present Otis in an NXT setting coming back?
He's probably the same dude, but he actually gets match time. He actually gets to wrestle. He's a good wrestler.
No TikToks for him.
People talk about Otis as like he's the funniest guy on the roster. So you can probably, there's a lot you could do with Otis in NXT.
That's true. And again, he had a great run when he was in that tag team, when he was working with Tucker, when they were doing, what was the name of the damn tag team?
Heavy
Machinery. Yes. When they were Heavy Machinery, they were doing a lot of really good work together, but they never really got that singles run in NXT. So maybe this is the time to try it out, do something different and change it a bit. Just don't necessarily make it super happy, fun Otis the whole time. Give him some reason to go after gold. I think that would be fun. And then have Tozawa win the North American title. Hey man, Tozawa rules.
I mean, he doesn't get match time otherwise, so yeah, I'm for it.
Is he on speed? Not the drug,
maybe.
I mean the show.
No. maybe.
Okay, I mean, let's have to see.
I feel like he's done a speed match or two.
Oh, it has to.
Yeah.
And I guess just because we have a couple minutes, Penta coming up to Braun Breaker. First of all, Penta announces for the Royal Rumble. What'd you make of that? Are we closer to a Penta versus Braun Breaker Intercontinental Championship match? Is that something that people are clamoring for right off the bat, or is Penta still in need of a few big moment wins? Because right now he's 2-0. He's just starting up. Feels like the Chad Gable stuff we're going to come back around to that, right? But this was a good little heat check between Penta and Braun.
Yeah, that was during a commercial break, wasn't it?
I guess so. I mean, yeah. I don't have commercial breaks because I'm on international Netflix.
Okay. Well, yeah, that was during a commercial break. So they're probably going to hold off a little bit on that. I expect Penta will get a pretty decent showing in the Rumble. And, maybe they'll set something up where Penta eliminates Braun and they can get something out of that. And it feels like they're going to do a multi-man ladder match for one of the titles at WrestleMania, whether it's the Intercontinental or whether it's the United States title. If it's for the Intercontinental, then yeah, Penta makes a lot of sense in that match.
Ooh, Penta in a ladder match at WrestleMania is
bumping one bit, brother.
he's just gonna climb that thing and do Cero Miedo over and over again until he gets it done.
Rules.
I'm a big fan of that. Yeah, but I thought this was someone was saying it was live and not a commercial, but again, I didn't have a chance to watch the USA version. But I can tell you that we are live and our guest is ready for us. So how about we bring him on, shall we? From MLW, we're looking forward to this. He's going to face Donovan Dijak in a grudge match. And it's this Saturday, February 8th at Superfight 6 at the center stage in Atlanta. We welcome right now the one, the only filthy Tom Lawlor. Good morning.
What's going on, guys? I never
doing,
said
Tom?
I was ready. I just said I was here. Now that I'm on air, I guess I'm ready.
You want me to kick you off and we'll just do it again? I can reshoot this later.
No. That's a good intro.
How are you doing today?
Not too bad. Preparing for next week when I can finally get my hands after months and months and months on Dijak. And after that, MSL.
And how good did it feel to punch him in the stomach this past weekend?
I mean, honestly, it felt fantastic. The only issue is that, he's so bulbous that I probably didn't go anywhere near his organs, I wish I would have inflicted more damage, but I'm going to have to go. His stomach was surprisingly hard for how large he was. So I'm going to have to find a different area to batter. I didn't go to the liver because I didn't want to, kill the guy, but maybe at Superfight it's time.
The old boss root and liver kick. That's what you got to hit him with.
Yeah.
I'm
also going to put him in the old boss root and sharp machine.
I am a big proponent for kicking your opponent in the dick to assert dominance. So take that as you will.
I hope I don't take that. Dominant move.
I think you should be the one giving it. Whatever, not important. Jeremy, go ahead. It's your turn. You're up.
We're with Dijak and did the whole thing with WTF, and I guess there's still a thing. They're still trying to promote and do everything. What are your? I don't know. That's the thing.
I don't think so. I think the logo is gone. I haven't seen. I mean, how are you gonna market? How are you gonna market that cool music and logo around Dijak? Right. The edge lord himself over there, it doesn't quite fit in with the WTF motif. So I think I may be the last man holding up the WTF banner in the history books.
So did you officially kill WTF or does Dijak's presence kill WTF?
I mean, Dijak's presence kills the vibe backstage. I can tell you that much, but I don't know if it necessarily him coming in killed the WTF. Or if I think it's just been disbanded.
Okay, all right, I'm listening to this.
And if it's not, then I'll disband it right now. It's done, over. And if it's not, then at Superfight 6 it will be.
Okay, so this is basically for the soul and therefore destruction of WTF.
This match?
This match, yeah.
Well, I mean, in a way, if we want to go back to the beginning. This MSL guy, the very first day that I took a bump, the very first day that I trained in the professional wrestling ring, no joke, 100% true story, MSL is sitting there watching me, scouting in 2005 when he was an indie wrestler. So, almost 18, 19, 20 years later, I get to team back up with this guy, and I was having a great time. I was having a lot of fun hanging out with MSL, getting to talk about the old days, some of the times on the Florida indie scene, some guys that we could laugh at, make fun of. And then he had to end it all. He had to turn his back on me. He could have talked to me. He could have sat down like a man to man, said, hey, things aren't working out. But instead, he brought in Dijak, attacked me from behind. And, personally, I didn't have a problem with Dijak. I think he's a bit of a tool. But now, if he's the the surrogate for MSL, then I will happily take my frustrations out on him.
Well, now I'm curious. What were those conversations like back in 05 with the guy like MSL? You're obviously coming from a different world. MSL's been in the wrestling world. Like what was that interaction like back in the day?
Hey kid, you're gonna be really good. Something like that. Keep going. Holy shit, what an athlete. Wow.
Do you feel
tremendous look? Could have been a model. Why is he wrestling? These are all things I remember hearing from MSL. Is that a Pringle? No.
Can you fit your hand inside of a Pringle can?
Nothing I have on me can fit inside of a Pringle can easily.
Fair. It's a good headline. Appreciate that. Do you feel offended that you were replaced by Dijak?
I mean, I wouldn't say I was replaced.
Okay.
Right. It's kind of like a wife or girlfriend downgrading. You know, they tell you one thing. Like I remember in college, one of my ex-girlfriends was like, you know, just don't see a future. Like you're not serious enough. Like yeah, no shit. But then she's like, you know, dating some surfer guy. Like this guy's more serious. It's kind of like the same thing. You know what I mean? He downgraded. MSL downgraded. So I don't feel like I'm not upset because he just made a bad choice. You know, if he had gotten somebody arguably better, like if he had somehow gotten Kojima to listen to him while Kojima was the champion, or if Matt Riddle listened to him, then maybe I'd be a little bit jealous. But Dijak, are you kidding me? I could go buy 10 of his entrance jackets at Goodwill right now for $20. I'm not scared of this guy.
Those are leather jackets. They're not. I feel like they're worth a little bit more than that.
No, I shop at Goodwill. I know.
Oh, okay. Well, listen, I'm not gonna really make fun of anyone for doing that. Save your money and do good stuff. I got a question. I want to go back to 2019. You're MLW World Heavyweight Champion, and you have a match against Jacob Fatu. He wins that title. It's big time. What were your thoughts on the Samoan Werewolf at the time, and since then you've seen him kind of develop and move on elsewhere?
You know, it's good to see all the lessons that I imparted on this gentleman in 2019 finally pay off here as he's finally listened to my advice. He's getting his big shot in the WWE. Jacob Fatu, like, fantastic. You could see it back then that this guy was going to be a star. It was only a matter of time. And there was a time where I thought, like, hey, maybe this is never going to happen. Maybe the timing's just not right. Maybe WWE isn't going to bring him in. But they have, and I don't think anybody can look at it and say it hasn't been successful. And you can see that it's going to be even more successful the more they give him the ball. So, like I didn't like losing to him. You know what I mean? But the guy's undoubtedly a fantastic talent, and I don't know how much money he's getting, but I'm sure he deserves every single bit of it. And you know, as far as people go, yeah, he's pretty nice guy to deal with. So big fan. I'm a big fan of Jacob Fatu.
Were you disappointed that you did not get drafted in the GFL?
Oh my gosh. I have now entered the GFL transfer portal window. So any of the teams out there, I'm looking at you, Dubai. If you're looking to draft somebody who has no interest in making your league better, then I'm right here. I'm your man. I don't understand what the purpose of this GFL is. I can't even say that the guy running it seems like a nice guy, because it just seems so it just doesn't, something doesn't seem right here. When you look at this, the number of guys who said that they weren't even under contract that were getting drafted, guys that said, you know, they're talking about guys that they signed who are fighting the next day in PFL tour. You know, it was just stuff all over the place. And we've seen plenty of promotions in MMA come and go. I liked the IFL, and I like those shows and that concept. And I can't imagine that the GFL now is going to come in and do any better. Like the owner was talking about, you know, we have all these fighters with proven pay-per-view success. And it's like, well, yeah, Francis Ngannou, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, those guys also have proven pay-per-view success, and it didn't mean a fucking thing. So if you think that, you know, 6-fight losing streak Tyron Woodley is going to bring in a bunch of pay-per-view buys, or if you think Dylan Dennis and Tony Ferguson are going to bring in a bunch of pay-per-view buys, it's not. The people who are going to watch it probably going to fucking stream it for free. So good luck.
My favorite one was like Chris Weidman retired like a week ago, and then he's just getting drafted in the second round. I was like,
Yeah.
what? You just announced your retirement. What are we doing?
And he's like, oh, yeah, I signed the contract the day before. Like, how much, like, what is going on here?
They announced this thing at like the start of, I think, like 2023. Maybe it was 2024. And then there was no information all year until they decided to do this draft. Would you be interested in doing, not for GFL, but like another MMA fight?
I'd be interested in competing again. I don't know exactly under what kind of rule set. Like, every time I drink a few beers and watch BKFC, I think like, hey, you know, it doesn't seem like it'd be that bad. The idea that they're doing a $25 million tournament just kind of sounds cool, you know? There's also like, this upcoming weekend actually is Dogfight 3, which is an MMA show in Spain, but they have insane stuff like 3-on-1 fights, tag team fights, you know, like bizarre, anything goes fights where you can strike to the groin. MMA, like in the US, is so, it's just like homogenous. It's the same product over and over. It's all, you know, all in the cage, everything's just very similar. And if you look at MMA like overseas, Japan, Europe, all these other places that are doing different things, that's kind of what appeals to me. Like we've been watching MMA now for, you know, 30 years. And I think people have kind of figured out the game. You know what I mean? We've seen almost all of the techniques that you can do. And I like seeing different rule sets. I like seeing, dirty boxing, like Mike Perry's dirty boxing. That was cool. You know, all these different things I think have a place. And I'd be into doing something else, but I don't know if it would be an MMA fight, you know?
How about slap fight?
That's the one.
That's the one.
Yeah, slap fight. Would you do?
I don't think so. I'm like the originator almost of that, punching Dave Kaplan in the bathroom in 2008. It's very similar. So, you know, you'd think I might have some experience. I might be good at it, but man, I don't know. I guess I do it in the pro wrestling ring, right? I sit there and I take 50 slaps from Minoru Suzuki. I mean, how much harder could these guys be hitting than him?
I think you're onto something with this tummy punching. That might be the next thing.
I don't know, man. Like I said, MSL, his stomach is a lot harder than I thought. I'd have to do some real hand conditioning to prepare.
He had, you know, the big jacket on and the big shirt. Like this is, you got to go shirtless for this. That way you can't pull a Bret Hart. You know, you get the steel plate underneath the jersey here and wonder what's going on. So shirtless with the stomach punching.
I mean, I would just take it. If we're gonna go by like what's most effective, then I would go back to the kick to the dick. So why not just line up across
Rochambeau
and give it a shot? Yeah.
Yeah, just Rochambeau. South Park invented that, I'm pretty sure.
You know, which, have you guys seen that video of Will Ospreay getting kicked in the balls by the two girls at the car show?
Was that him?
Sorry. What?
Was that him?
The cars behind you reminded me of that. No, it's not him.
That's what I said. I don't think it was because I remember him like retweeting that and being like, "Oh, that really hurt," or what? He had some joking comment. I was like, "I don't think that's actually you, but maybe I don't know."
It's Bullock's mate.
I don't know what Will Ospreay does on the weekends. Maybe he likes to go to car shows and people kick him in the dick.
Not here to kink shame.
I am.
That's fair.
I'm here to shame it.
Well, so here's so I went into your Instagram and you were shaming these orgasmic air fried egg rolls. And I feel like it's worth mentioning just because this is in Atlanta, whatever this was, and of course Superfight's going to be in Atlanta at Center Stage. So like, what is the deal with this? What was the turn on or the turn off to these particular orgasmic air fried egg rolls?
I mean, first of all, the first one that comes up is vegan, which is disgusting. A vegan back shot. I hesitate, but I'm going to do it. But I really do hesitate to wonder what that smells like. Okay. I mean, I don't think I need to go any further, really. Now that you mention it, though, since Superfight 6 is in Atlanta, if you want to talk about something, not disgusting, but actually delicious, that would be the Claremont Lounge strip club that I will be going to after Superfight 6. The oldest gentleman's club in Atlanta. The average age of the dancers is, I believe, 47 years old. There's a dancer there who could crush cans with her boobs. So,
oh yeah, we've seen those videos.
Yeah, I was taking them. I sent them to you on text.
Sorry, I know she kayfabe it. Sorry.
What kind of food do they have at this? Like, usually, it's.
I didn't eat, but it smelled like fish.
Okay, fair.
It smelled like a seafood place.
I worked at a venue that once tried to do a buffet. It wasn't very good. I don't know what they were trying to do, but they had a lot of eggs. It was not good at best. It was just not very good. Oh, Jeremy, ask away.
You mentioned working with Minoru Suzuki. You faced him at the latest MLW show, but you faced him for years now. So what's the experience like just being in the ring with Minoru Suzuki from, I think your first match was in 2019, 2020, possibly. And now facing him in 2025. Does he hit harder? Does he hit less hard? How's it like working with him?
Honestly, if you go back and watch, it's somehow the same dude, right? Like he hasn't aged in 5 years, maybe because he's so old already that your appearance doesn't change as you get older. But it's the same hard hitting guy. The matches are, very, very similar a lot of times. One thing that I love actually about wrestling Minoru Suzuki is that I want to be him one day. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like when I wrestle him, I can take something back and I can use it in, how old is he? He's like 56 or something. So I think, how old is he? Can somebody do this research for me? So I don't look.
Yes, I will look it up right now. He is 56. He is 56.
Really? Look at that. So, I mean, there's a 15-year difference between me and this guy. And, I guess I'm insane enough to think that in 15 years, I'm still going to be wrestling. But that's honestly one of my favorite things is anytime I get to face him, it's like, I feel like I'm having what the fuck?
Every single time we've talked, Tom, which is only twice, but this man has decided to jump on stream every single time.
I got asked a question on my Discord yesterday. What's the worst that could happen there, right? And the question was, of everyone on Fightful, if you had 6 months to train, who would you feel most confident beating up? And I said, I would beat everyone on my team senseless. Everybody who's been on a Fightful screen senseless. And then 3 hours later, you have Phil Tom Lawlor.
Yeah, well, sometimes you got to write those cash those checks, buddy.
Yeah, you can't call ice on me, buddy.
Pardon me?
This isn't a feud you're gonna yeah. You're not gonna win this feud by trying to get me deported.
Well, yeah, well, first off, we'll see about that. But second off, I have never. God.
By the way, do you know enough information? Could I just sell Shaza my mother-in-law's green card?
Oh, that's who. Yeah, I for sure got. I logged onto my Blue Sky for the first time in 2 years when it came back, and my bio was still deport Shazza. Like, I didn't mean it literally. It was a joke.
You got to
And
clarify these things, Sean.
They took one look at our match and they denied on that visa. I even wrote her a recommendation letter.
Yeah, but it was probably written because she kicked your ass.
Listen, I'm like 3 for 4 now. She's the reason I'm not on an Undertaker streak of visa recommendation letters getting approved right now. So I've got an issue with this.
Well, Undertaker loses now. So
I mean, he doesn't wrestle now.
Well, he did.
Who
did he lose to at Mania? He lost to Roman Reigns and Brock.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. So you got another one on your way.
Oh God.
Yeah.
You strike me as a viewer of the Undertaker's podcast, Filthy Tom.
You know who I'm not a fan of?
Who's that?
Undertaker.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
can we take shots at the Undertaker and just write some clickbait
We talking
headlines?
Taylor's version or Brian Lee's version?
I am a fan of the Brian Lee version, actually. Big fan of the Luke Gallows Kane as well.
Yeah.
Now,
he was doing the sorry to interrupt the
oh yeah, I'm sure you are.
Talking Shop-A-Mania.
Shows up
And
5 minutes in.
I told him one of the characters on Talking Shop-A-Mania should have been fake Kane.
Yeah. It's a good one.
Could work. I mean, there's plenty of them now. So why not?
Isn't it all the same guy?
No, oh no.
Oh, it's not?
No. In fact, there are multiple versions of the cocaine guy. Yeah.
What Fent?
And there are like 2 or 3 cocaines, right? Because they all spell it differently.
Stephen Flo informed me of such because I tagged the wrong one. Because one of the cocaines came up with the Stephen Flo name. Go figure. I'm just here to learn about people getting their ass kicked. Like Tom is a wealth of education.
I was talking about Minoru Suzuki and how
you interrupted some great Minoru Suzuki's talk here, Sean.
I feel like how I have a mirror match with him now because I just see myself doing what he's doing in 15 years.
Well, I know what he does because I approached the back door of the GCW cluster when I was in it, myself and Denise, and there was no door prop holding the door open. It was Minoru Suzuki sitting on a steel chair smoking a cigarette before his match.
Only one?
Well, that I saw.
That's a surprise. Actually, I think I may have saw him getting into a little bit of Zen. Dude, it might have been at the last show. He might have stepped it up.
I'm not going to bother you gentlemen any further. Tom, it's nice to see you.
You too, Sean. What?
Yeah, you never get the last
That's what
word
he
with
does.
him. You just don't. We've tried. Doesn't work that way. You can text him afterwards. He still won't reply. It's fine.
I just hope he knows that I boo him for coming on this show.
Good.
I have a write-in question from, I'm not going to give a name, but this person asked, was PETA upset about your fight against CB Dalloway and what you did to him?
It was more the, PETA kind of, like they stayed out of it, but the Humane Society was the one that I had to deal with. You know what I mean? That was 17 years ago that we're talking about. So I have virtually no recollection of those times due to rampant alcohol and drug use at that time and since then.
You've won. That's what matters. You got the victory.
I remember winning. I have none of that money left. So,
due to the rampant alcohol and drug use.
Yeah. How long did I expect $116,000 to last? That was my nest egg. Damn it.
Got one particular strip club in the Atlanta area, then can't go that far. Okay, I've got one question, then we have a little game that we play on the channel. I know you've been asked about Brutus Creed and facing him at Bloodsport 11. I'm actually curious about whether I know you told the puking story and that went around, but I'm more curious about, like, in terms of, was there any kind of backstage interaction or WWE interaction with yourself leading into this match, or just kind of like just any conversations that came from that or out of that?
No, none whatsoever. I don't think that there were like WWE agents or backstage people at that show. Actually, a lot of times there have been. I know like Regal's been at some of the shows, and there's been other agents there, but on that one, I don't think that there was, just due to it was like a Sunday afternoon. There was nothing else that they were kind of piggybacking off of, you know. And no, I mean, the only interaction I had backstage was, you know, talking to the Creeds, I guess, afterwards, and kind of getting their feel for the whole thing, since they had no clue what to expect. But no, I mean, the only people in WWE that I've talked to in months would be like Timothy Thatcher, you know, now that he's back there. But yeah, that's about it.
Well, you guys spent a good amount.
WWE want to talk to me. Nobody there wants anything to do with me.
Well, I figured that maybe there's a level of just understanding that you're gonna, you know, be respectful or have a good showing with someone from their platform, and you know, maybe they're not gonna be like, don't do
not
this,
what I was
do
there
that.
for. That's not what I was interested in doing.
Well, I get that.
I'm there to make their guy look good.
That's not what I'm getting at. No, that's not. No, that there's just a level of trust that that everything goes smoothly with everyone.
They should have hit me up. I'm not the one puking before the fucking match. You know what I mean? Where's the level of respect for me? TKO owns them. UFC bought WWE, not the other way around. Who just Raw on Netflix? Ooh, made $5 million. Fucking UFC went there and did this, double that the next week. Where's my respect? Huh? How many match of the nights does Brutus Creed have? 0. Anyways,
put him in a jacket and he does a laugh now. That's his claim to fame.
It's my boy Brutus. He's like the Tito Ortiz to my Dana White. Guy is bonehead beyond belief, but
they never actually fought though. They teased that terrible boxing match that.
But in a battle of wits, Dana White's gonna win. So there's been one for about 2 years.
That is true. That is true. Sadly.
All right, before we let you go, we play a little game on the channel. It's called Partner, Promo, Punch in the Face. I give you 3 names, people you've worked with, people you know, people we've talked about. You're going to pick which one you'd have a promo with in the ring on the microphone, which one you'd partner with in a tag team contest, and of course, which one you'd punch in the face, or maybe in the nether regions. I don't care. Your 3 names, if you're ready for them: Minoru Suzuki, Donovan Dijak, of course, your opponent at Superfight, and Fred Rosser, your tag team partner. So here we go. Partner, Promo, Punch in the Face.
You know, for a promo, you know, I'm gonna take Minoru Suzuki. I'm gonna take Minoru Suzuki because I know it's not gonna last very long. I'm not gonna have to say very much because he can't say anything in return. So we got a short segment that I'm gonna get paid the same as if I was out there talking for 5 minutes. Teammate, you know what? I'm gonna go with the dark horse, and I'm going to pick Donovan Dijak.
You might have to do more work in that case, though.
Well, no, I don't think so, because if you watch him, he loves to just do moves and get himself over. He loves to do crazy stuff out there, do some big man flips. Wow, so impressive. I don't even need to tag in. I'm sure this guy will try to do all the work on his own. And then, of course, who do I want to punch in the face? Somebody that I want to punch in the face more than anyone, the more time I spend around him, and that's Fred Rosser. That's a shoot. Roomed with him this weekend.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, have fun with that. Well, go ahead, and if you're in the Atlanta area and you want to go check out Center Stage, it's going to be hosting MLW Superfight 6. That's Saturday, February 8th. There are tickets available through Ticketmaster and, of course, through MLW's website. You got our pal Filthy Tom here. He's going to face Donovan Dijak in a grudge match. That's how it's being promoted. So go ahead, check that out. Before we let you go, Tom, anything you want to plug?
Now you can just check me out on Twitter and Instagram at Filthy Tom Lawlor. And that's it. Keep your eyes peeled because I'm all over the place. Mentally, emotionally, physically, metaphysically.
Yeah, this interview kind of proved that, and I do appreciate that. Thank you so much for joining us this morning,
Thank you, Tom.
Yeah, thanks. Always a fun time.
Take care of yourself.
No.
Now we play the game. Who's going to boot who from this show? Oh, he booted himself. Oh God, Filthy Tom Lawlor.
He's fantastic. I've been watching him. I mean, I brought up the CB Dalloway fight. Legit writing question, by the way. My friend. Yeah, so it was from my buddy Sammer. Longtime MMA fan. And I was like, I'm interviewing Tom Lawlor. Do you have any questions? And he's like, ask him this. So we're longtime fans of Lawlor, and just we followed his career from the Ultimate Fighter days and the MMA days. So yeah, I've been following along with Tom's career for a very long time. And I've only interviewed him one other time, and Sean appeared on that stream as well. So not surprised to see him here, but knowing just from following Tom his entire career, like, you know what you're going to get with Tom. It's always going to be good stuff.
Yeah, that was pretty much exactly what I expected in the best way possible. Oh, shall we preview AEW Dynamite tonight?
Yeah, that's in a show that's allegedly happening.
Live from Huntsville, Alabama.
Don't do that. That sounds awful. What are you doing?
TBS and Max, 8 p.m. Eastern, live on the Super Station. You're gonna see. We got plenty going on. Actually, there's quite a bit. MJF's going to appear. We'll hear from him. What's he going to say?
I don't know.
Is it going to be something low hanging fruit, or is he going to say something with emphasis?
Do you think he references Hangman? Like, do you think he draws back off of that?
I think he does. I think it's more likely he does that, given that Jarrett has a match tonight that does have world title implications. So maybe he'll bring up both men, but I could see Hangman getting a shout. Hangman's not on the card tonight. He's not officially announced either. So maybe there is a promo that's coming between MJF and Hangman out of this. They had the stare down. They haven't really done anything, yet. So maybe this is the start. Just have MJF beefing with everyone. Wheeler Yuta takes on Jay White in a match that I'm sure.
Am I dumb? Don't answer that. Wait, didn't they just do this match like 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, but now Jay White's going after the world title at Grand Slam Australia, so you got to get it here somehow. He's got to get those wins.
I actually don't think like they've had a one-on-one match. It just feels like they've wrestled so many times. I guess they did the 6-man match, and then they were both in the casino gauntlet. So they've not done a one-on-one match. So I am dumb. It's been since 2021 when New Japan. Yes, I am dumb, but man, it just feels like they've wrestled a lot. I assume Jay White wins, and then he challenges Moxley, and then they get the match for Grand Slam. Did you watch the Death Riders with Renee Paquette?
I watched bits and pieces, and I also saw the transcription that you had done. The world title is I think Jon Moxley ate it. It's inside.
He's the world. Yeah, it's inside him.
Did he like cut it into pieces and ingest it? That's all I could take from that whole comment. That he wants to build 1,000 Jon Moxleys, which brings me to my point. Would you rather face one giant Jon Moxley or 1,000 little Jon Moxleys?
That's honestly tough, like a giant Jon Moxley feels like he'd be really difficult to deal with, but also a little 1,000 little mini Jon Moxleys like running after you, like just biting at your ankles and doing
They'll
stuff. Like,
kick you in the dick. They'll all get together, make a big boot, kick you right in the dick.
I feel like I'd rather face the thousand mini John Moxleys. But I don't know. Maybe the one I just punch him in the dick, and that'll be the end of it. So
because I haven't really watched and fully immersed myself, I do have the question for you since you have watched it. Putting Renee
why
in
would you put that? Why would you assume that?
Well, because you did the transcription, so I assume you did watch the whole thing and actually take notes on what happened. Was putting Renee in there actually effective in storyline, or was it just we got to put someone there and she's going to react the best to her husband? Like, was there any husband-wife dynamic in the conversation of this video?
I thought it was effective whether you used Renee or not. I don't think Renee added or took away. I definitely don't think she took away. If anything, she added. But I thought the overall point of the whole thing, which is 20 minutes, by the way, I thought that was effective. And I came out of this like, oh, this is actually interesting. What they did here was way better than what they've been doing on television. Like, the problem with this is it felt disconnected from television, because John Moxley's talking about like no egos and build an army, and we're one mistake away from the whole place like imploding and going back to how it was. Like, when John Moxley speaks, he's very commanding. I know he speaks kind of in these riddles and everything, but he's very commanding when he speaks. And when he talks about the AEW World title, and he's like, you know, it's in here. I am the AEW World Champion. Claudio's talking about every time the company's been in trouble, who do they go to? They turn to Moxley. Talking about just building up the future and building a roster of guys. Like, it was really effective. But then I watched the television and they're scared to like do anything to Rock and Roll Express, and they're feuding with Cope, and Wheeler Yuta's getting beat at every turn. Like, none of that is effective to me.
This is kind of the other side of it, though. If you're telling a one-sided story and there's just the one guy cutting his promos and saying this is about rebuilding AEW and my image, blah blah blah. The problem is the people pushing back are not strong characters, at least not right now. So what you see on TV is Jay White, who's been beaten now for the world title. He's gone after it and lost. Jeff Jarrett, who, okay. MJF, who's kind of off to the side. And Darby, who is now off, getting ready to climb a mountain. And that is potentially who's going to, dethrone John Moxley at the end of this thing. If you don't have the strong characters to oppose the stronger character that is being presented on a segment like this that you're talking about, then you don't have a strong story. You have a strong character, which is great. So that is where it's lacking. They showed a little bit of it on Collision. They teased it, and I thought it was really good. They did show it was the I'm out here building a 1,000 John Moxley army. That was the clip that they showed, and I was like, oh, this looks good. I should make time to watch this. Obviously, I haven't yet, but with your push, I probably will after this. It just feels like, yes, it's strong on one side, but it takes two to tango in the world of wrestling, and they're not finding or identifying those characters that are opposing the Death Riders to that degree.
So here's a point that stood out to me during Moxley's interview and how they can relate it to what's actually happening on screen. Moxley talks about, we inherited a wasteland. And when he says we, he's talking about his generation of Claudio, himself, and Pac, who all kind of came up around the same time and kind of hit WWE around the same time. And we're all in the trenches of WWE around the same time. He talks about, we inherited a wasteland. Okay, whether you want to believe that or not, fine, whatever. But who is somebody who theoretically he inherited this wasteland from? Cope.
Tony Khan. Oh.
Cope. Because
Right.
Cope was technically the generation before him. And so when he's talking about this, we inherited from this generation, he's talking about people like Cope. So they want to talk about pushing the younger generation, which they should be doing, and they've kind of lost the plot on that. But if you want to tie this stuff into the Cope stuff, I think this is a good way to do it, Instead, they really haven't mentioned that at all. They haven't given you a reason to care about Cope and Moxley since Cope has been on screen and he's like, I'm old and I've been doing this for a long time. Moxley should fire back with that kind of stuff. He should fire back with like, yeah, you have been here for a while. People like you are the reason the business was in the state that it was in my generation, to come around and save it. I don't want the business to be around people like you. I don't want it to go back to the people like you. But this makes no sense of why he's teaming with Chris Jericho and things like that either. So like, it's disconnected. That's my whole point.
But on top of it, on top of it, it also becomes almost a babyface presentation because he's saying, I want to make things better, and you are actively making it worse. And like, yeah, Cope's not, but at the same time, there is a segment of that fan base that will be like, yeah, AEW could be better. And you know, Henry's asking, is it Mox's fault or AEW's that they don't have the strong opposing characters? It's AEW's. It's not Mox's. Mox isn't building the characters or writing the TV for this case. Probably writing his own promos in some cases, but like AEW and the creative is there. It's not on Mox. It's on AEW. Sorry, continue.
Well, it's not a babyface presentation though, because does enough heelish tactics and people can basically see through that he's being a bullshit artist on this. John Moxley doesn't actually care about building the future. John Moxley just wants everything to be in his vision. Well, we don't respect that. We don't want to like that John Moxley. We do like Cope. John Moxley is lying when he's saying he inherited a wasteland. That's not truthful. John Moxley didn't save the business like he claims he is doing. Like, that's the point of the character. That's what I'm getting, at least through this promo, of this character. But again, it doesn't come across that well on television. And I do think that's where all the disconnect is. I thought this up close thing was great. Again, 20 minutes. They're never going to show this whole thing on television because they're not going to dedicate 20 minutes of television time to it. But I thought it was really effective in how you can get them across as heels, as people who are really only out for themselves, even though they say, oh, we're out for the greater good. But none of this comes across on television when John Moxley's running away and trying to beat up 70-year-old people, but then doesn't actually beat them up. And none of the young guys actually step up to challenge them or anything like that. Like, none of it comes across on television. I wish they would lean more into what they did on this thing. Because if they do that, I'm in again on it. And truthfully, this is where it started, right? Like, this is when this whole Death Rider thing started. This is the stuff they were kind of doing, is Moxley wants to build AEW in his vision. The young guys were actually like, no, fuck all that. We're going to challenge you. We don't want you murdering Bryan Danielson. We don't want you murdering Chuck Taylor. We're going to step up and we're going to face you. We're going to combat you. But along the way, they just lost the plot with this whole thing.
Hell yeah, Cope came back.
No, they lost the plot before Cope came back.
But yeah, Jay White defeats Yuta tonight, most likely. That's a match happening. And then Jay White says, Moxley, I want your title, and I'm going to take it to Grand Slam Australia near my home. Brian Cage takes on Will Ospreay. That'll be fun, I'm sure.
Do we get the fifth man? Who's the fifth man, brother?
I don't know if they'll do the fifth man there. Here's the thing: if they're gonna give you the fifth man at Grand Slam, it's probably Trent. But I don't know. And then I'm sure we'll see Kenny Omega probably make a save for Will Ospreay, because that's what Ospreay was doing for Kenny after his matches, and now they're best friends teaming together. So I figured that'll be that. Jeff Jarrett takes on Claudio Castagnoli. Jarrett gets a world title shot with this win. Claudio's going to slip on up in an appeal. If both members of the Death Riders in action lose tonight, Mox has got to kick both of them out.
They should have kicked Yuta out a while ago. Like,
Yuta suddenly became like not complacent, but complicit, and he was little brothered. He was almost. I can't even explain it. Does he have Stockholm syndrome? Is that why he's doing all the things? Like, he felt awkward with the Danielson stuff, and then he leaned into it afterwards. For a while, it felt like Yuta's place may have been elevated out of this, but then it was just, no, Yuta is now the guy who comes in and gets involved first out of all the Death Riders.
Well, that's what people told me is Yuta's was going to be elevated out of all of this. And then Yuta is now just the guy who takes the loss every single time that they're on screen. So that's why, again, there's a disconnect with what this promo was and what the Death Rider started as and what we've been seeing on television. And how do they fix that? I don't know. I don't think Claudio losing to Jeff Jarrett is how you fix that. I don't even think Yuta losing to Jay White is how you fix that, but it's probably going to happen. And I understand why it's going to happen. But then I would like to see Moxley be like, dude, you fucking keep losing. Like, you are not the type of person we want in this group. Like, you're just a giant fucking loser. Why should you be hanging around here? So I don't know how they're going to course correct with this whole thing. But Jeff Jarrett beating Claudio is not how you course correct. If that's the direction they go in, I'll cackle. I'll laugh. I don't care that much. It's hilarious to me.
Conrad's going to throw brass knucks at Jeff Jarrett's, and that'll be that. Aaron Sadlow has joined us for the ITW Rumble.
Appreciate you, Sadlow.
23
22.
people. 20. I thought this was 20. Oh, okay, fine. 22. I'll get it right eventually.
I don't know about you, Joel.
But you're feeling 22?
There you go.
I know you. Where would they do that match for those two?
They should. Here's what they should do, Joel.
Oh no.
They're in Atlanta, Georgia next week because everyone's running in Atlanta, right?
Seriously, what is the deal? Like, what did Atlanta just pay out a huge sum of money for everyone to come this way?
They are in Atlanta, Georgia.
They're not running center stage. They are running the Gateway Center Arena. It's a 5,500 arena. So okay, go ahead.
Jeff Jarrett comes out with his guitar. And he's like, John Moxley, let's do this right here, right now. And John Moxley comes out with a fiddle and he challenges Jeff Jarrett to a fiddle contest. He's like, nah, that guitar, we ain't doing business like that. We're going to have ourselves a fiddling contest here in Georgia.
Feel like that's the only answer. Maybe they'll do it Dynamite Austin, Texas.
They'll probably just do it next week. If they're going to do it, they'll just do it next week. It's in Georgia. Like, why wouldn't you do the Jeff Jarrett match in Georgia? I know it's on Tennessee, but like it's Southern State.
The only reason I'm going with Texas is because it's going to be a taped episode. So if things are not great, you can always edit around it. It'll be a Tuesday Dynamite filming because then they got to go to Australia for Grand Slam.
Is it airing on Tuesday? Is it airing on Wednesday? Is it airing on Tuesday?
I don't know for sure. I'm just seeing that it's February 11th is the date for the show, and I haven't heard that they're doing Dynamite differently that week.
All right, so
like
I'm checking the TBS schedule right now because I actually don't think this has been clarified. We're breaking some news.
Sure.
Here.
My assumption has always been, and we can always look at the calendar here. My assumption has always been they're doing it on the Tuesday so that they don't run out of time having to fly to Australia because that's a lot of shit and a lot of people for a lot of time flying across the country, flying across the world.
A lot of Big Bang Theory on TBS.
Shocker.
It does look like it is taping on Tuesday and it will air on Wednesday. Yeah, there's no Dynamite airing on Tuesday. The Dynamite airing is the normal Wednesday night. So it does look like it'll be a taped episode.
Yeah. And Collision is going to be live in Houston, so maybe that's where they wanted it. The on the 8th. I don't know. I don't know. With Jeff,
just do it next week. Do it in Atlanta.
Just do it next week, but who knows? Regardless, the only other match left on the card that is hopefully top line and will be the main event is TBS Championship, Mercedes Moné versus Yuka Sakazaki. It'll be a fun match. There's one thing Mercedes is fantastic at. It's working with Japanese talent and going 100% with them.
This should main event, right?
It's the only match with a title on the line. I assume it main events. They've not done much with women's matches lately. Like they've been up back in the Q6 slot. They've been back on the 923 slot. Eastern time. I'm hoping that this is the main event. It feels like it has top billing on the on all the ads. It has, you know, the most prestige. It's Mercedes. Granted, like Yuka Sakazaki's not super well known, but like these two will have a great match. It feels like it should be the main event. The only other match I could see them doing that with is the Ospreay cage match. And I feel like that should open up the show because, again, Kenny will probably be involved in whatever comes out of that match.
I mean, the Jarrett match can close the show.
I thought about that. And when the ratings traditionally kind of go down, and that's not a shot at AEW, it's just traditionally they start high from the lead in and they go down. I could see that being the case where the Jarrett match goes on last, and that's that. So I don't know. Again, there's a reason for all options that we put on the table.
I'd close the show with Jeff Jarrett. I'd have him beat Claudio. And then Jon Moxley comes out and Jeff smashes the guitar on Jon Moxley. And Jeff Jarrett. Let me rewind this.
Okay.
Close the show with Jeff Jarrett. He beats Claudio. Jon Moxley and Marina Shafir come out. Jeff hits Moxley with the guitar. Karen hits Marina with the guitar. Jeff grabs the briefcase and he hands it to Karen. Karen opens the briefcase and Jeff reaches in and takes out the AEW World title and he holds it high above his head. And that is your closing shot of AEW Dynamite. Jeff Jarrett holding the AEW World Championship high above his head.
You just got
That's not the greatest ending to Dynamite ever.
Excalibur just in the background, just being like, "Hey, Jeff Jarrett, a world champion."
Nobody needs to speak. The crowd.
No, good luck with that. Good luck with that announce team, keeping them shutting up.
The crowd will do all the talking for you as they go crazy for Jeff Jarrett with the AEW World Championship high above his head, and Karen Jarrett going like that, you know, going, look at my husband. Crowd's just going wild. Jarrett.
This has been the greatest AEW Dynamite ever. We're out of time. What a great Dynamite moment. Dan Wilson sent a super chat saying, "Can't watch live, still catching up on Monday's show." My goodness. Popping in, hoping a spot is left in the hashtag ITW Rumble. For you, Dan, there is a spot left. Dan, you're number 23 for real this time.
And there's also a spot for 7 other people. So 7 people. If you want to guarantee your spot, send in a super chat. You got till the end of the show on Friday to guarantee the spot. At the end of Friday's show, we will open it up to how it's going to be first come, first serve on the Friday show of who gets in. And there's only 7 spots left now. So, you know, but it might not be any spots left.
And again, if you're watching us after the fact and it's not live and you want to get your spot 100% in there, you can donate a super thanks, which is the comment that you can pay up and do the same thing. I know I don't do it. It's just what it is. It's a super thanks. If you donate a super thanks, same amount, any amount will get you in the ITW Rumble. You just got to put in the hashtag ITW Rumble. Otherwise, like Jeremy said, Friday free for all. Get your hashtag in, and we're gonna have the last entries filled out. This has been fantastic. We really appreciate people getting in early because this will be a lot of fun. And listen, the Rumble is always a good time. We're looking forward to talking about that, previewing the Rumble. And of course, not that we haven't already been doing it for the last God knows how many weeks, but we'll talk about AEW Dynamite as well. We'll have a guest allegedly on Friday. Jeremy, do you have anything to plug or want to plug anything else before we get on out of here?
We can plug our guest who's going to be on Friday. We didn't mention it at the top of the show, did we? When we talked about Tom
No,
Lawlor?
we didn't. I tend to wait with you when it comes to guests that you book because I know that you're sometimes a little apprehensive with putting it out there in case something doesn't come through. So I leave it to you to put it out if you want.
I am, but that's usually when I'm dealing with wrestlers directly because I don't trust the wrestlers to always know their schedule. No offense to them. Look, I'm just as bad, so that's why I say no offense to them. So I'm terrible at that stuff as well. But dealing with PR and people we have good relationships with, we're scheduled to have Paul London on Friday's show. So we will be the 800th podcast in existence to ask him about the faceplant bump at the Royal Rumble one day ahead of the Royal Rumble.
I promise I won't ask about the faceplant bump. I will ask him about other things.
I actually don't want to ask him that because he's told that story so many times.
Yeah, I'm ready for something else, something new.
We'll try to get a different Rumble story out of Paul London.
So without telling us about the faceplant, tell us your favorite Rumble story.
Yeah, he's only been in that Rumble though, so
don't worry, we'll figure it out. We'll watch it gently, we'll watch it gingerly, we'll pick it apart, and we'll be like, which moment was your favorite? The part where you got in, or the part where you got out? Poor Paul. But we're looking forward to talking to him. That's going to be on Friday, along with all the other stuff we talked about. So come and join us. We're live starting next week. It's going to be 5 days a week. So get ready for that. Putting it out there. It's happening. Don't know how it's going to work, but it's going to work. So for now, just come and join us on Friday. Just come and join us Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern. We'll be back here. Jeremy, anything last to plug? Any last things to plug? No? Good. Wonderful. Wicked. For Jeremy Lambert, I am at thejoelpearl.com over on Blue Sky. Still a mouthful. We'll never get used to it. But ladies and gentlemen, friends, me on the binary. We'll see you in the next one. Cheers.